Okay, let's call this meeting to order. We're here for the Complete Streets Commission, a regular meeting, for the month of October. Thanks, everyone in the community for being here as well. Let's go through a forum, and attendance.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Snyder?
Here.
Commissioner Rowe?
Here.
Commissioner Benjamin?
Yes.
Vice Chair Flipper?
Here.
Chair Hamilton?
Here.
Oh, Commissioner Katz is now.
Well, not.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's do the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to try to move things quickly, as quickly as we can. I know everybody's here to give comment, and we're going to try to move through that as best we can. First things first, we always call public comment on items that are not on the agenda first. And I see we have one here, so we've got Caroline Ward. Let's do 3. Okay, 3 minutes.
First of all, how many of you drove here today? Okay, and how many of you biked? So everybody who drove, turn to the person who biked and thank them for the parking. And what if 10 of us? What if 10 of us had biked? How many parking spots would that have left? About 10 parking spots. So my point is that parking takes up a lot of space. There's a lot of us know, those of us who live around the high school, we've really seen that, how much space cars take up. So, what I would really love to encourage, not just Complete Streets, but also our city talk to and try to figure out a way for our high school students, I work with a high school group, to use ABC, anything but a car. And can we encourage them to bike? Because the more they bike, the fewer cars are going to be racing up and down our streets. And frankly, teenagers in cars. I'd rather have a teenager on an e-bike than a teenager in a 2-ton vehicle who's maybe not paying that much attention. So please, I'd like to make that point. And the other thing is that it's possible, and it'd be great if we could coordinate with BTA, coordinate with Mountain View, and try to purchase more bus passes for our students. Because if we can get them used to riding the bus early, we do have some, the number 40 goes all the way up to Wingstore and goes over to high school. If we can get that going, that would also save a lot of car trips, save a lot of parking for people who maybe can't ride the bikes or can't drive. So I would really love to encourage us to work as a group with Mountain View and maybe with Palo Alto, but try to figure out a way to get bus passes for all students. Currently, we don't have that. We only have about 115 or so students at our high school, those Southwest High, who have bus passes through the school. We could do better. Imagine 2,500 students have bus passes and they just get used to riding the bus. It's actually not that bad. And you can actually put your bike on the bus if you need to. You have a flat tire. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, great. Appreciate that comment. Okay. Let's move to items for consideration and action for today. We'll get through that. We've got our minutes from the prior regular meeting. Need to approve. We have anyone who moves to approve or any other issue with the minutes from last night. No issue, I move to approve. Okay. I'll second it. Now I think we vote. Yeah, let's vote. Vote approved. All right, aye. We approve. Thank you. Okay, moving next one is potential Bristol Drive improvements. So last month we started, some of the discussion, we'll continue that tonight. So then we can go ahead and do that. Let's start with, hearing from everybody from the community. So I've got.
So I have to
Colin.
recuse myself from this item because I live 500 feet from the street.
All right.
We'll get you.
2 hours.
Yeah, okay, so then we'll just go in order. Thanks everyone for submitting, cards. I've got Helen Dolich here.
We don't want to do. We do public comment.
Oh, yeah. Is that the right sequence?
We don't do public comments.
Well, before we do public
Yeah.
comment, do we have any,
Questions first from.
well, yeah, before, yeah.
Is there
From
anything from the
Mr.
city?
See if the city staff has any
All
updates,
is on, just one second.
Yeah,
city staff any updates first, and then
and then we'll do the.
questions,
Yeah.
and then we go to public comments.
I have nothing further to add.
Okay, and then, you know, one question?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
should go around asking them
Yeah.
any questions before she speaks.
Yeah.
Have her take a seat first.
Okay.
So we're gonna do the, Steve
want
does the
to
presentation, then we have questions, and then public comments.
I have no presentation.
Oh, it doesn't have president, but you want to say something first?
No.
Okay.
But.
I'm not-
Yeah,
All right.
thanks.
No.
Okay,
We got-
we'll do this story. Thanks, everybody. So let's open up the floor. Does anyone on the commission have any questions for the city, about what was presented last week or about the status of plan or anything else relevant?
Have we considered part-time bike lanes?
Part-time bike lanes, is that what you said? Yeah, okay.
What, please describe what you mean by part-time bike lanes.
So Homestead Avenue on Sunnyvale, they did something and it wasn't successful there, but they had bike lanes over certain hours.
That would be a challenging factor because now it becomes an enforcement issue. So how would the enforcement be applied to that?
And it's posted for hours, particular hours on weekdays.
No,
We
I
do that for
understand that, but
cars.
without someone enforcing it, there's no means of.
They do that for cars, and you see that turned by school says no right turn between.
Right.
One age or whatever times are in the afternoon also.
I understand that, but it's not effective. So unless there's an enforcement.
It's the same thing.
Well, how is bike lanes enforced?
When there is a vehicle parked there, the PD does ticket it. But I'm just saying, in general, to have those type of timed parking, unless there is an enforcement component to that, it is not very effective. And right now, even the no left turn in front of Los Altos High School on Jordan, there's no left turn because there's Casita. The police are trying their best to do the no left turn during beginning of the school hours. Yeah, people are still making that left turn. So it's just because we put up a sign does not mean that people are going to listen. So enforcement becomes a very difficult issue.
Well, it seems to me like any solution here, we're gonna be putting up signs.
No,
Have that
I
temporary.
agree, but I'm just saying, it becomes an enforcement issue. And given the fact that, yes, we do now have a full-time parking enforcement now, but he's also already slowly getting a stretched thin in the fact that we are doing enforcement in front of around the high school, so we're still getting a lot of complaints. So we're doing the enforcement there. At the same time, we also have a lot of complaints coming into the downtown area.
That seems like if we have the part-time bike lane, that's less enforcement required than full-time.
No, actually, it's just as
Yeah.
Questions, please, just questions for now, and we'll comment after that.
That's okay, we can come back for this.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but to me, it seems like it's a valid question, and so
Sure.
we should address it now.
Anybody else?
I just have a quick question. Stephen, the last time, any changes from the design that was proposed from last time that was made,
No.
the communication that went to the public was the same design?
correct. That's the latest and last thing.
Thank you.
Right. Anybody else? Okay. Then we can probably not.
Oh, I
Oh,
have one
closer.
question, sorry.
Yeah.
And the communication went out this time. Just want to say thanks to the staff for taking care of this time, you know, that the commission had a recommendation that last time that we communicate this.
We actually did it,
Yeah,
second meeting, so we did it again for this meeting, so we did do it to the same as, we were just gonna do along, I just did 500 feet without it, we're not shooting to get. So, and then I also communicated with the school, and you guys saw the email, to remind them that we are having this meeting, so.
Absolutely.
okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
So my name is Ellen Dolish, and I'm a owner at 5100 El Camino Real, the building which is facing distal there. First of all, I wanted to thank the commissioners and Stephen and Art for even bringing this discussion, because I know a lot of us have been pushing this. Just wanted to let you know that I'm really opposed to doing dedicated bike lanes. I'm not opposed to bike lanes, obviously, but more of the share of the lane for this particular area. I was hoping the commission could have come up with some out-of-box solutions, because this is a really harsh, disruptive move if you implement it. Not sure you consider things like postal delivery, all package deliveries or trash pickup, which is on the street right there. Mobility issues with people, drop off, pick up. Our population is anywhere from 3 years old up to a 97-year-old, believe it or not. So we don't have public parking or visitor parking in our garage. We depend on whatever spaces are available on Distal. I'm also on the board there, so I'm involved in all the repairs and maintenances and things like that. There are vendor issues, where a truck's gonna park, where they're gonna bring equipment, move in, move back. There's fire safety inspections. We have a whole slew of different maintenances and things like that. So from that perspective, I hope that you don't restrict parking on both sides, because it would really be a disaster to a way of life there, okay?
Okay. Okay, we've got Misha Chain.
As a general notice, each public comment has 3 minutes to make it easy for you. I'll just set a timer up so you can see and track the time appropriately.
I'll make sure that together it's 6 minutes. So, hi, my name is Manisha Jain. I'm one of the 5100 residents as well. The current one doesn't have any space, like, I don't understand how the city services like postal and garbage would be addressed. So it doesn't, like, I'm in favor of the bike lane, but the way it's proposed right now doesn't seem practical, and it might even increase the number of accidents instead of reducing. So I'm really concerned about it. Thank you.
David Mendenhall.
Hello, I'm David Mendenhall. I'm an owner resident at 100 El Camino Real, apartment 101, Los Altos. I live there with my wife, our son Lincoln, who's 20, our daughter Adelaide, 18, and our son Victor, who is 12. It's 5 people in a 3-bedroom apartment, 1,300 square feet. It's a bit cozy, but we make it work. As you can imagine, a family with 2 adults and some young adult children. We have more than 2 cars. So we have 1 car for me, 1 car for my wife, 1 car that's shared with our young adult children. And we only have 2 parking spots underground. That's what was sold with the apartment. Most of the apartments in that building have 2 parking spots. There are 3 apartments that have 1 parking spot. So we have to park our 3rd car on the street, and we park it on Distal Drive. And if you ban parking on Distal Drive, I'm really not sure what we're going to do. I guess we could go over to Distal Circle, it's further away, it's dark over there at night, I worry about my daughter, she's 18. It's not great, she's kind of a prime target for assault, so I'm not comfortable with that. We also like to have guests come over, we like to have people come over for dinner or watch a football game, and they want to park their cars. And they won't be able to park them on Distal Drive either. I want you to understand, this is a residential neighborhood. This is not a commercial street. There are 29 units in our building, over 50 people live in there. Ms. Dolich spoke earlier about the age ranges. And there are going to be more people moving into that neighborhood. Now we've got 5150, massive new complex that's being built, a lot of new residents coming in. We've got the low income housing that's being built on Distal Circle. Maybe someday the city of Mountain View will get their act together and rebuild the Chevys across the street and turn that into housing. So it is becoming a high density residential neighborhood, and we need parking. I'm not opposed to transit. I've taken the 22 bus, I've taken Caltrain, I have a bicycle. I'm very pro transit, but we have 3 cars and we need to park our car somewhere. Thank you.
Got Sybil Kramer.
Thank you. I'm Sybil Kramer, and I'm a parent volunteer at Los Altos High School, working with the Green Team and also with the PTA Sustainability Committee. I don't bike myself, but a lot of the students do. And as a matter of fact, Luke Byrne, who's co-president of the Green Team, was going to come tonight, but he has a big math test tomorrow. So I guess I'm speaking on his behalf as well. What we want is safer passage for bike and pedestrian students coming to the back of the high school. So a stop sign, a 4-way stop sign at Marriage and Distal would be wonderful. I just drove that before coming here. There's a stop sign on Distal, but Marriage, cars just go shooting through. 4-way stop sign would be good there, and perhaps even farther up. I'm trying to look at pictures I took to figure out the names of the streets, but the sun was too glaring. But 4-way stop signs at the intersections going up to school would be great. I understand about parking for residents, that's important. I was just on this one looking at that picture, so there are cars parked on the side of the street where the condominiums are, but there are no cars on the other side. I think that camp or some. So maybe they could park on that side, or you could put the bike lane on one side and have the parking on the other side. I'm sure there's some way to work that out. So I won't talk for the entire few minutes. I just hope you'll always maybe walk that or drive that section and think of ways to make it safer for kids to bike and walk.
Yeah, I think Caroline, you're gonna come up for this as well. Yeah, thank you.
Also, thank you for your work on El Camino. That's been transformative. Off the topic. I am also, as you probably guessed, I'm very interested in making that passageway safer for students. And I also agree with Sybil that intersection of Distal and Marriage, like it'd be great to have a bike lane. I support that, but I also feel like it's gonna be kind of, right now, it's sort of a bridge to nowhere. The kids would get to that intersection of Marriage. They still have to contend between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning with trying to get over to the high school, trying to cross Marriage. The kids are encouraged to take Casita. They can't go all the way through Distal unless somebody lives on Distal and wants to pay their easement. Cut through. But they need to be able to make that turn. And right now, under the current conditions, without a stop sign, it's really, really difficult. And I think a lot of times people just desperately go out and they put themselves in danger. And also, the Theater Street, up at El Camino, how can we make that intersection safer and easier for kids.
Quick question, Caroline, you were just talking about the marriage of the CETA, intersection,
Really, I'm sorry,
Or
Bristol,
that's right.
Bristol, and
Bristol and
Marriage. Yeah, that's the hard one.
is it Hua Chung?
Hi, my name is Fa Cheng. I called the city email, never get any response. I'm the owner of 745 Disco Drive. I have a 20+ clients in the building. Almost half of them is house related services. So the parking in front of our building is very crucial to us, to our clients. I mean, business residents in the building. Some of the clients have a difficulty walking long distance, so they would like to park as close as they can to the main entrance. We have doctors or have therapists, multiple of them. So we are not against pipeline, but not the way you proposed. I hope you put us our situation into a consideration. And I really didn't get any information until my neighbor passed the info to us. So we have no prior knowledge whatsoever about this. Another thing is our parking spaces go down. So our the garbage collection company refused, they cannot go down the truck. So we have to push our dumpster up on the street every week. So, and that's garbage service and for really for the communities, our patron coming to visit us to give a service agreement. We have a elderly mobility issue patient. We have children with special needs to come in. So we do really ask you to consider to put our need into your plan. Thank you.
We've got Claude Magny.
So my name is Claude Nagamini. I am an owner and also on the board at 8100 El Camino. So like everyone has said, this is the building that has like 29 residents. We also right next door to 745. They have a lot of people there. The proposals that you have put up actually inconveniences us considerably. There is no consideration for vendors. How are we gonna have our HVAC dealt with? You know, what's gonna happen when we need to have any type of service coming to the building? Because according to the provisions, there was nothing there's all no part. These, surveillance by the police. We also have like trash dumpsters, we have to put on there on the street. Now, mind you, that place is really messy in terms of the morning. I've heard people we've had accidents at the corner of Distal and El Camino where people run the lights. They've also actually knocked down one of our street lights. So it's a really nasty intersection. Having said that, I see the children every morning, 8 o'clock, running through those driving on the sidewalk. So I understand the necessary. But, having to inconvenience so many people for a bike lane that only goes to Marriage and then it stops. I mean, what's going on here? There's a huge inconvenience with nothing to really help in terms of safety. Because now this intersection as Marriage and Distal Drive is terrible. And you guys should watch it in the morning and see how many people, I hope they never get hit by a car. Because it is really, really bad. Okay, thank you.
We've got Seema Bugala.
am Sita, and we are a relatively new owner at 5100 El Camino. I guess wouldn't be ready to lose the entire parking on the street, so we sent a proposal, my husband and I, he's not here today. We sent a proposal to Mr. Art Williams on trying to make Distal Circle through Distal Drive a one-way, so we could park on one side and do the bike lane on the other side, if that's a workable solution, so we don't entirely lose the parking on the streets. That way, the vendors or whatever services can still be done, and if we have visitors, there's at least some parking instead of zero parking. So that was our suggestion, and we're concerned that everyone else had been talking from our complex. So if you would please take it all into consideration and look into it, that would be all. Thank you.
Gary Martin?
Thank you. So I'm here to remind you what you really have is a network problem. In order to get people to travel, you need connected networks. With the trip to the high school, there's not a good connected network for bicycles. There's problems with the network for cars, and there are no sidewalks, and the network for pedestrians is hazardous as well. You also have a chicken and egg problem, because if you don't put in a network, you need people, or people tend to drive cars. I would remind you, parking is a privilege. It's not a right. And the condos, the houses were sold with no amount of parking and no assurance that the city would continue to provide free car storage on the streets. So, free cars in a household is not uncommon in Los Altos. There's no necessary reason for it. My household was 5 adults with 2 cars. Biking, walking, on the half of the difference. Yes, it takes good connected network, takes some learning, but it can be done. Everybody likes to park close, especially those who are elderly. And we heard about that. But oftentimes they need to park close because the effects of a sedentary lifestyle have limited their mobility as they get older. They didn't have a connected network to walk and bike. They didn't. Now they're feeling the effects as they're in their 60s, 70s, or 80s. So you have a choice of how to move forward. You need to provide a connected network. You have a chicken and egg problem without a network, you'll never get there. I would suggest perhaps a motion for Los Altos to procure off-street parking and have a vendor for car storage at a reasonable rate, not to continue to use free public resources for car storage. So I'm in support. There's no question about it. I stood out and counted the intersection for 19 minutes at Marich and Distal. 119 cars were in, 175 cars were coming in. You have a flow problem. Most of them are turning left to go to Casita and either make that restricted left turn or make a U-turn hazardous as they're dropping off speed. You might consider no left turn at Distal and Marich for an hour a day. So I would like to encourage you to do what you can to make a connect network. There's no question that a stop sign is warranted due to the flow of traffic at Marich and Distal. And I would encourage you to think forward of what needs to happen with climate change, with safety, and a connected network to address the removal of parking. Thank you.
We've got Omar Kajani.
Omar Gijani, I live in 5100 ECR. I'm an owner there, been there for 5 years. We just want to start by thanking Steve, Art, and the whole commission for the care and the rigor, the thoughtfulness. This is a complex issue, no doubt about it, and you robustly engage the community, and you're asking for the ideas and input. I think it's definitely the right way to go. I'm in full support of the proposed improvements to install a bike lane on Distal between Marich and Alcalá. I do recognize this is going to be a very big change. And in particular impact on where there's the most dense population, which is the building I'm in, and also 745 Distal Drive. Every proposal had advantages and disadvantages and pros and cons. It's my assessment, in this case, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. I don't minimize any of the concerns that are brought up by my neighbors. They're real concerns and they're tangible concerns because my family and I have to deal with those concerns as well. But there's a solution to every one of those concerns. It's not a unique situation that we're in. Today, anytime between daylight hours, you can't park on Distal Drive, you have to park on Distal Circle because all the parking spaces are gone anyway. So during the day, it's not really an issue. Los Altos believes in safe routes to school. And there's one place that needs it today, not tomorrow, which is Distal Drive. I'm on that road every day, several times a day. And whether it's morning or afternoon, when the kids are going to school or during the afternoon rush, there's a mix of cars and bikes, people all zooming around, and it's getting more and more dangerous. And I think many of you observed this firsthand. You've been out there. A shower won't work because there is a shower there today already. We need a bike lane to protect drivers, pedestrians, cars, and most importantly, the students. So I urge you to approve the proposal of the bike lane as proposed by Stephen Simon. Thank you.
We've got Barbara Herman.
Barbara Harriman, from the 5100 El Camino. Thank you for hearing us. And thank you to Ellen, who is our HOA president, who does a fantastic job getting vendors to our units. I won't go over everything everyone else has said, but taking on my talking points. So I'll let that go, other than the stop signs, I really think would be very helpful there. And also wishing you that the other street that's further down Driscoll, I watched the kids make that turn, and they just go right in the middle of the street, and it really is a dangerous intersection in my opinion. I'll give you one personal story because it is personal. So, you know, it's my concern, but nevertheless, I have a friend who has a very severe heart problem. And my job is, or my offer is to have her come and be with me. And that way she drives up to where the ramp is, we get her in the wheelchair, we come up our ramp into the elevator up to a 1-level unit. If there is no place to drop her off, I don't think that's going to work to take that wheelchair and go, you know, who knows how many blocks. Sometimes it's very, very crowded, especially right now because of the construction. And it gives the caretaker a break. It gives her an outing, and it gives me joy to provide something to her. So the parking in front of it's really essential for many things. If I have my unit painted, I can't imagine the painter carrying a great big ladder down a street. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you for listening.
We've got Dina Deshani.
Yeah, hello. My name is Dina Dejani. I'm an owner at El Camino Real. I live with my husband and my 2 aged school children, and I fully support the proposed bike lane. Distal is a high traffic area, which is why we need the bike lane. You have kids commuting to 4 different schools in the area all at the same time. Currently, it's unsafe with the kids riding their bikes, their electrical bikes, walking in the street, and having traffic everywhere at all directions. I can't even get out of my building without having kids like flying by on the sidewalks in both directions. almost every day is a near hit miss that I see. It is a disaster out there. My kids want to ride their bikes to school, and they do, but every time they're on Distal, I'm terrified for them. It's unsafe. I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a tragedy out there yet. And let's not wait for a tragedy to happen before we do make our streets safer. Thank you.
Here, all right.
I'm Derek Mihar. I represent the high school. I'm assistant principal of Los Altos High School. So most of those folks that are riding through Distal at in the morning, riding back out in the afternoon, they're our students. So I'm here to advocate for the safety of our students. I mean, I'm sure you're not surprised that I'm supportive, in support of anything that would make that safer, if that's a bike lane, if that's stop signs on March. I think that these are important for the safety of students coming to our school. There's thousands of students at the school, and many of them bike. And we're trying to get more of them to bike because we've also heard the community is concerned about the amount of parking that the cars take up. So we're faced with both of these things, right? So we're being told, have more students bike because there's not enough parking. And then we're said, so well, the bike lanes, the making it safe, is a cost for paying. And I recognize that. I recognize that there's a cost. I would like to thank the commission for considering proposals to help make that a safer bike ride. So I want to thank you for that. And I would like to thank the community for people who have come here and stood here and talked about the cost of this proposal, but also recognize that there is a need for bike safety. And I think that the challenge is to figure out how we can balance that, balance those two needs, both for the needs of the community and for the needs of our students who are biking to campus every day. So I just want to thank everybody who's here who's engaged in this process. And want to try to be any part of the solution that we can be at Los Altos. So thank you.
You've got everybody. Oh, please, yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely. You're welcome to come up.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Charlene Stanley. I live right at Marich and in Distal. You know, it is crazy. That street's very crazy. But I don't think just having one bike lane going to solve the problem. I think we should go in stages instead of doing a bike lane with these barriers. If you could just put a bike lane and then see how that all works out first. Stop signs, that, you know, it's a good idea, but it clogs up a lot of the flow too. So, but I'm okay with that. It is a crazy intersection, but I don't think it's just a certain time of, it's in the afternoon when they go home and in the morning, and that's it basically. So, I just want to take into consideration before we put like bike lanes with barriers and no parking, and we can't get a postal, we can't get all that. I think we should first try the different stages and work with everybody and see how that all works. Thank you.
Okay, that's everyone I have a card for. Is there anyone else who didn't have a chance to submit a card who wanted to take a moment to speak while we have comment? Awesome. Okay, thank you. There's one. Oh, we do have one. Yeah, absolutely. Would you like to? Can you fill out just your name right here?
You can speak and then for the.
Oh, yeah, you can speak and then fill out. Good call. Very good. I'll fill the rest of the words. That's an option.
Sorry for holding you up. My name's Andy Dolish. I'm a 5100 resident, hanging out with her and all these other wonderful people. The gentleman talked about a network over there. Distal is an artery. If you look at that area of El Camino, Distal, what's being built there, Rainstorf, the level of traffic is incredible and increasing every day. With the unit that's being built there, the unit at Distal Circle, the unit across on Rainstorf. And I've submitted a letter based upon safety. I don't know what the registration is that an e-biker needs at what age. But I know every day that I see their helmets securely attached to their handlebars as they're driving, with one or two people on the back, all three of them on their cell phones at e-bikes that can be revved up to 30+ miles an hour. I look at the arteries and I look at the heart of that area. And as the gentleman talked about, until we get a grasp on the entire heart and the network there, the dual bike lanes, you've heard a lot of questions about it, but I come down to safety. And the amount of bikers on e-bikes that you see that are increasing in speed and size every single day, they are not staying in bike lanes anytime, anywhere, any place. And so I worry, as was said before, about the safety and a tragedy that is just being written without us putting black on a piece of paper. So to my view, this is a safety issue, and that we haven't looked at the full array of traffic that now is going to increase every day in every way for everybody without the safety being guaranteed. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come up? All right, thanks everyone again for coming. Really, really helpful comment. Appreciate the patience. Let's see. So then I think we can move to discussion. Let's talk on a commission. Does anyone else, or does anyone have anything that they'd like to say about what we understand the plan to be, anything we've heard today, directions, thoughts?
Just before we do,
Yeah.
I just want to pick something up, and I want Stephen, my art, to help clarify the kind, at least the design, the kind of bike lane that's being proposed. Because I think there was at least one comment that seemed to indicate they thought there would be barriers and so on. So it'd be good for you to say what class of bike lane and what that means. So it's we're all in the same page.
The bike lane will not have any barriers on it. It's just basic. The type of bike lane that's out there does not gonna have any barriers on it. It's just basically going to be a striped bike lane with a green backed bicycle lane symbol on it. So because it is a solid white line and dedicated bike lane, it does not allow any parking to be there, because the bike lane is also going to be 5 feet wide with a 2-foot buffer as much as we can. And that's going to be that is what is being proposed, is on both sides.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Does anybody on the commission have any comments based on, any other comments based on what we've heard today? Anything you'd like to discuss? I heard Tony from you about the.
Yeah, I think it'd be useful for us. Go ahead.
Sure. So it seems like a part-time bike lane would be a good compromise here. It would allow parking most of the time. It would still give us bike lanes. What I'd suggest is 2 hours southbound in the morning, 2 hours northbound in the afternoon. That lets the kids through, and the rest of the time, everybody has full parking.
Stephen, I had before you comment, I had a question for you. So the current proposal is limited to the bike lane and there's no stop signs being proposed.
No.
By the merge. Is there any reason why we're not considering this part of this design now, or?
First was for us to put a stop sign there, would have to be warranted. We have to do a warrant study. It cannot be designed with current. Also, Marriage is a minor road going into how do I say it? A through road. So so Distill is warranted a stop sign, but the other street on Marriage, it does not warrant it. And by doing that now, it's going to congest the traffic even further, because the traffic does utilize Marriage to get out to San Antonio.
And when there are pedestrians coming in, let's say on the north side of this town, pedestrians going through there, there's no way for them to cross safely on either side onto Marriage, or either the north side of Marriage or to the south side of Marriage without a stop sign. Is that true?
I can't say whether it's unsafe or not.
Yeah.
All I can say is that
There's no control.
There's no control on it.
And that would be the same for any bikes coming on a bike lane there as well.
Correct. And the bicycle has to follow the same rules as a vehicle.
And just as a follow-up, that study that you're saying that has to be done for the stop, what does that entail?
We would have to do a thorough analysis of the volume count, accident history. Is there any geometric issues that would prevent hindrance of the vehicles being able to see? And yeah, those are the major areas that needs to be done.
How long does that study take?
We could probably do it within a month. But based on what I'm seeing, it's not gonna meet the volume count, because it has to be 6,000 vehicles per day.
There's how long?
Yeah, it takes about a month.
Thank you.
One thing that I noticed, I just want to say, make a general comment that, you know, especially on going towards El Camino during after school hours, at the end of the school day. That place is, you know, it's something that we have to, you know, come up with a solution. Because there's pedestrians, the bikes and cars, all three are backed up on that side. It's going south, going towards El Camino.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I guess, of course.
Yeah, today there are cars that are parked and I see bicycles and pedestrians both weave through there. Into traffic and then back out of traffic before they get onto the place where there's a sidewalk. So it's an untenable solution. There's no question about it. I think we have to come up with a solution for that. So the reason why I'm asking about the stop sign, it seems like that has to be a part and parcel of that decision. Without the stop sign, there's a conflict, even if there's a bike lane, there's a conflict for both bikes and pedestrians at that point.
The reason why, if I may, the reason why you're seeing the traffic congested from El Camino all the way to Marriage is not because of the stop sign. It's because the cars cannot release making a right turn on El Camino to make a left on Rinsdorf. The cars that's parked there along the apartment frontage, after 4 vehicles, they're no longer able to make that right turn lane and make that right turn. Where about 80% of the cars are currently going. The 4 cars that is trying to make a left turn is what's actually pushing everything back. So even if we were not to place a bicycle lane, I need to do something about that release. Once that release occurs, it should alleviate some of the fat that's currently being experienced out there.
Okay, so you have to walk us through this once more.
Yeah, we're talking about northbound traffic, Stephen, right, on Distal. That's we're saying they're supposed to make a right to get onto Rixdorf ultimately, and then there's also folks making a left to go northbound, northwest on El Camino. Those are the folks you're saying that prevents the traffic from releasing. And your part of your solution, I think, you're moving the lane light or something, right? That we think can ameliorate that or help with that. Is that right to say?
Right. So let me just kind of give you a general idea.
Okay. Google Maps that you can show.
I have
It's what things do.
Oh, yeah.
He's working on.
I'm already gonna be
Bus
boss.
lanes.
So they'll slow down. Go get
I just think it would be helpful for everybody, so visual aids. So. Yes. Can I say one other thing, seven two, before we get into this, just on the same point as what Suresh mentioned? One thing I noticed is, I think part of the driver for, there's a few different drivers, but part of the drivers for why we're looking at improvements, safety issues on Distal is because it is not just a safe route to school, but it's, people mentioned the word artery. I mean, we're seeing potentially like many, kids that are biking from Mountain View side, for sure, the ones that are taking Red Shore are crossing El Camino and taking Distal. And by the work that we're doing, and by the publication of things like Safe Routes to School, we're wanting that to happen, or we're saying that is among the best ways to do that for the people that are coming from those communities and that are around that area. And for us to then do the work on Distal and then say, good luck at the first intersection you come to south of El Camino, feels like we're not doing the whole of that work. And we're pushing people into a tough situation that's already a tough situation. Anyway, that's just my comment. Wanted to throw that out there, but then we can talk about this too.
The reason why this street even came on my radar,
Yeah.
it's not just because of the request to install a bicycle lane to provide connectivity between Mountain View and Los Altos and Los Altos High School. It's not just that. There is other factors involved in it, is the reason why it came on my radar. We do have more densification of existing properties. We do have several apartments being built and so on. So as you can see from this road, we don't have a center line out there. So this was the old residential layout. So basically, once you're 50 feet away from the intersection, we don't have a center line. Basically, it becomes a two-lane residential. Given some of the stuff that I've seen, given the fact that we have cars parked along each shoulder, cars tend to drive along the center line. So because of, not only because of the densification of the neighborhood itself, but some of the driving factor of some of these residents or public wanting to drive in the middle, I already know I have to go ahead and put a center line in this road. So since I'm going to be going through this, I have to put the center line in to make it more safe for the public. Not only that, but as commissioners have brought up, this is a safe route to school. And I believe it has been discussed once or twice in the past about, because it was identified in the safe route to school master plan, we should consider doing something on this back here. So given the fact that I've had requests to put a bike lane out there, given the fact that I do need to make some modifications out here, if we want to go ahead and put a dedicated bike lane, now is the time to do it. So that's the reason why this whole conversation has started. What you see right here, this is the morning traffic. Yes, the afternoon traffic is pretty much the same. You have about 52 vehicles parked. It's basically queuing to make a movement one way or the other. So out of those 52 cars, like I stated in the last report, I would say about 46, 47 cars out of this whole rows of vehicle are going to be making the right turn on El Camino. They're out of those 46, about 38, from what I recall, I'm just trying to go off memory here. Out of those, 38 made the wide right turn, make a left turn on Raysdorf. The remaining amount just went through on El Camino Real. This seems to be pretty consistent with basically a couple of visits that I've made out there. So this is what it looks like. So with that in mind, kind of give you the Google Earth look.
So as you can see right now, it's just one lane. So right now, depending on where the cars are parked, if these cars were parked along this up front here, because right here, right now is red curb, they cannot go too far. The distance of that red curb just allows for 4 vehicles, is about 4 vehicle length. So if you have 4 cars parked right in the middle of this lane, which they have a right to, you're now in a situation where that backs up to traffic. Because the apartment that is, the residents are parking here, they're not allowing the right turn movement to occur. So what ultimately will have to happen is I will have to extend this right turn out further so that these residents can park closer to the entrance here so that I can create a right turn pocket to release this traffic so that you're not going to have the amount of vehicles that's parked. The majority of the cars that's utilizing Distill, like I said, is trying to make a right and make a left in Distill. I mean, Reinsdorf. The 4 cars that is trying to go on making that left turn is what's causing the issue. So I would have to move the parking restriction further out so that if there's 4 cars parked there, there's still ample amount of space for a car to make a right, go into a second lane, make that right turn. That should alleviate majority of the traffic. So you shouldn't have to be in a situation where you have a number of cars parked trying to make that left turn or right turn, and the pedestrian and bicyclist is trying to weave in and out of all the traffic congestions.
So Stephen, on that, sounds like also, because it's one lane, even if somebody doesn't wanna make that left turn on to Rainstorm, they're blocked from taking the right turn and then going up to a swell.
Yeah,
to
so
get that
basically,
turn.
what happens is this. The 4 cars is the maximum queue, so this is 50 feet. So when you have 4 cars parked right about to here, parked in the center lane,
Right.
trying to make that left turn. This is approximately where the cars parking starts.
Right.
So because of that, the cars have no means of navigating in between to make that right turn.
I'm saying some people might not, because actually going over to Rangsdorf is probably technically illegal anyway, because I believe the law is you have to go 100 feet each lane before you switch lanes. So a lot of people cut across, and that's, again,
Yeah,
trouble enforcement, but it's still illegal. Is there a way to, put some sort of barriers? I've seen in places where you force the right turn lane to go past Rangsdorf, so that they don't all queue up to go all the way across El Camino, several lanes. I've seen that in other places, but I'm not sure how.
you could do that, but we would have to work with Caltrans because El Camino is Caltrans right away. So we would have to come up with a design that they could approve of.
Okay. So that may take a long time.
Depends on how receptive Caltrans is.
How receptive are you guys to something like that? Or to big enough?
I personally would not want to do that because if I did that, the traffic would be even congested even further. If you
So
agree,
Squirrel's not exactly the best intersection either.
no, the close proximity to the intersection is not ideal. There should have been more separation between the 2 roads,
What
but
about changing the traffic signals?
traffic signals,
Yeah, the stoplights at Rangsdorf to,
this still is a secondary road. So El Camino will all take priority. So if you start messing with the traffic signal timing, you will now have traffic going, you may release this traffic here, but the cars still wouldn't be able to make a right turn because
there's a lot of traffic.
there's traffic coming from Ringsdorf to Distill on numerous occasions.
Well, it's actually the traffic coming from El Camino from Palo Alto.
Yeah, so it's coming south.
So, yeah, they could.
Yeah, so depending on how the
Yeah.
traffic signal goes,
you'd have to
it
put
does
another-
back up.
You'd have to put another light.
Yeah, so there's a numerous factor, but having that second right turn pocket would help alleviate some of the traffic, because there were gaps where I've seen numerous gaps where there's either a green left turn or a green ball to go straight on El Camino. Cars cannot get into that right turn pocket to make that right turn, even though they could have
and release the traffic through.
Have you, reached out to Mountain View to get any input from them? See if they have any ideas to,
I have,
okay?
they're
They
basically
haven't-
saying that at this point in time, they're just studying Windstorm. They are in a preliminary phase.
Did they give you a time frame in that? So. we're just
Because they
gonna-
have to go through and do, a parking analysis of all of Windstorm. And they're just now, getting started on it. So they didn't give me any timeline.
What, Stephen said, just to follow up, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah.
I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah.
What was the goal? Do you know what the goal from Mountain View is?
The city of Mountain View wants to go ahead and restrict parking along Reesdorf from El Camino all the way to past, all the way to 101.
And, restrict parking and then
And then make it a bike lane.
bike lane.
Restricted from where?
From El Camino all the way to the 101.
On Ransom.
On Reesdorf.
So quite a way.
That is a quite ways.
There's a lot of there's a lot of apartments in it.
Yes, that's one of the things you have to do is, you have to do a parking analysis to see where these residents are gonna park if they were to do this.
Okay. Have, there was that.
No, yeah, it's not.
Do you, do we know when the construction projects that are currently being worked over there on still will be done?
I do not know. That's also my preview.
I know it's probably going to be other time.
I would have to check with engineering and, development services.
The only reason I was wondering is if it was gonna be done, let's say, for example, in a month, we could put off some things to the park would clear out from construction, but I think there's other projects coming down the pipe too.
Well, the one in Distill Circle is probably gonna take around a year,
Oh, okay.
my personal opinion.
Okay.
Next year, almost.
About a year.
Yeah, not the one, but the next year.
So also. You're talking about 24/7. No parking. What about coming up in the rainy season? When there's a lot less people taking bicycles and a lot more traffic going to schools,
But you still have kids still riding the bikes.
it's a lot less.
Yes, it's a lot less,
Lot.
but at the same time,
It's a lot less.
it is still a bike lane.
So it'd be way underutilized on the things.
Yeah.
And more outside the box. You guys talked at all about maybe a shuttle bus from the Mountain View side to West Ham across.
Actually, ironically, when I was going to look at San Antonio for some other project, I saw the VT dropping off a busload of students right there on Almond and on San Antonio.
Okay.
I'm assuming that they're all coming over to San Antonio, from the Mountain View side. It was literally a bus full that got out and were walking on Almond. So there's obviously some sort of shuttle service already there,
We need two buses.
maybe, but that's gonna go to VTA.
'Cause I know that the cities do hire buses for schools too. But that's just something that could be taught to the non-users.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer that to the school.
And I know this next one's gonna be too expensive, but thinking outside the box. Pedestrian bicycle overpass. They have them over there going to the middle school, going over Highway 85 and send it down.
How would I say this?
I know it's.
I commend you on your outside the box. But the last short overpass I built was about $2 million. And it was going over 4-lane road.
Well, you got more than 4 lanes here.
When do the drone lanes get put in?
Room.
Sorry.
Um,
So that we can't do timing, like certain hours?
We're not supposed to do comments right now.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, but we're having that discussion.
No, just, so, that's it.
Good.
Yeah. That was one, but the other part would be where there's a part for, you have to work on that too.
One of the comments that the city of Mountain View stated was they would love to see some sort of bike lane out there. But at the same time, they're not committed to it. One of the reasons why the kids are utilizing the bike lane on the wrong side of the road is because the city of Mountain View placed a sign up there on their side, saying crossing at this location.
So repeat that again, Stephen.
The city of Mountain View went ahead and placed a sign out there on El Camino, to have the kids cross closer to the apartment and further away from the apartment. So now within the city is encouraging them to utilize the wrong side of the road.
Did you talk to them about that, or you would, what, it was someplace different?
That is their plan, and they want their
I'm saying in your opinion,
they should relocate it to them.
okay, have you asked them about doing that? Or is there a way to go about?
I could try to encourage them again to put it on the right side. But it's outside my jurisdiction, all I can do is request.
Right.
It makes sense though, isn't it? Because there's a pedestrian walkway all the way on the other side.
There is a pedestrian walkway all the way, but not everybody's using the sidewalk. Some of the bicycles are using the road.
It's not talking about police pedestrians.
Pedestrians, yes, but the way they have the put it down encourages both pedestrian and bicyclists. And if I go out there early in the morning to see the traffic pattern, I always see 2 or 3 near misses with pedestrians and the bicyclists. Bicycles trying to cross, go down Distill, and pedestrians trying to go towards El Camino on their walk, whether it be with stroller or not. And now the bicycle has to either weave to get out of the way, or the pedestrian has to weave to get out of the way. Somebody has to get out of the way.
But that's a separate issue.
Yes.
Something to be addressed.
Can I just, for maybe my own benefit, maybe other people's benefit, we're talking specifically about pedestrians or cyclists that are crossing from Rangsdorf, crossing El Camino Real at that striped intersection. Yeah, we need a pointer. Yeah.
Currently, with the restriping of El Camino, there is a dedicated bike path, which is trajects in this direction across El Camino from Rangsdorf, which is why all the children are taking that bike path. And one of my suggestions when I get a chance to speak will be for us to work with Mountain View and the Caltrans to solve the problem with a wiggle. If you're familiar with the term the wiggle, or if you've been to San Francisco, it's a path that is dedicated and directs flow of traffic on bicyclists to keep them safe. So the wiggle would come up Rangsdorf, direct them on the correct in the protected bike lane, bring them over to the cross, and then have them cross across the street like anyone would expect them to. Unfortunately, the design is they're using the design as intended, and then they end up on the sidewalk. They fight people, chaos happens here, and then they ride on the sidewalk as you would expect any person to do, whether a child or adult, because they've been directed in such a way. So we have, as I think Terry said, we have a network issue. Yes, we have a flow issue where we intentionally brought people in the wrong direction. Our hard job is really, yes, I could talk a little bit about the other pieces, but it's to fix this problem. And then we solve at least 50% of the challenge, which is safety, bicycle path safety, people not using sidewalks and so forth. So that's, I think, what we have to really work hard to, but it's not an easy solution. It's the hard one.
Out of the 30 bicycles that, out of the 30 bicycles that I actually observed going across, at least 30 that I saw were utilizing this on Distill. This is awfully lagging. Majority of the bicyclists were utilizing this side. And I think I saw all of 3 kids going actually far up here and coming on the correct side. But then once they crossed, then they decided to just kind of go all over the place. And in fact, when they get close to Marriage, they actually cut through the traffic where all the cars are stacked.
Yeah, so Stephen, I think what I'm hearing from you is even when we see kind of like the quote unquote desired behavior, when they're going to the further down the street to cross, further down El Camino to cross, and then they cross on the side of Distal where they could use like, you know, the right side of the street as a pedestrian or cyclist. We're still seeing folks, you know, sort of be in the middle of the street or have undesirable behavior.
They've been seeing
regardless.
kids actually right on the correct side of the road, get out to merge. Cars are queuing to make that left turn. As they're starting to move, the bicyclists see that queue, and they cross it at a diagonal, so the cars are slamming on the brakes
Yeah.
to avoid the kids. Instead of going across and then go across.
This is at the intersection of Harrison and so on.
So Sarah, what would it take to do this, implement this wiggle?
A tri-party agreement, right, between, I would imagine, between our city, Mountain View, and Caltrans in order to draft this and fit it. That's my assumption, because those are the two parties involved, so. That's the, I mean, I guess I'll take the chance to speak, so, really quickly, as this piece. I mean, I'm in favor of bicycle safety, bike lanes, and cyclists. I don't ride as much as I would like to, but I ride a lot. Steve and I agree with all your traffic findings. They're spot on. I take that path every day to work and I take it home. And I live on a safe route to school off of Marriage next to Jordan, so I see the density of kids on bicycles, not just on this intersection, but I see it in East-West Portola Junction on San Antonio. Same issue exists. It's not actually it's worse because it's a high-speed flow area. People get frustrated. It's also been exacerbated, which is what you mentioned, right, with the construction happening. You know, I see it happening. It got worse when the second project came online. Construction workers, depending on the pulse of the day and the time, actually began parking on Merritt Street as well now because there's certain phases of construction ebbs and flows with workers. As I think Terry noted, right, it's a network issue, as I kind of just already talked about it. You know, I never want to see parking removed. I feel fortunate I live in a place where the parking is easy relative, but I know very soon for where I live, it could also become an issue with additional high density housing being brought in. And for all the reasons that the public stated, right, of having health and care, health, trash cans, growing families, you know, all those things are important. While I don't have children, I believe that every child riding our streets should be safe, should be protected to the best of our ability. And the reason I have an issue with this project, Stephen, is not because of its intent, but it's because of us not considering actually root cause. And root cause is much broader than just like putting no parking for an entire length of the street. I think it'll move most of the people to Marriage, in which case we'll have the same issue on the you know, for the arteries around Marriage between Distal, Casita, and so forth. So if we're gonna look at safe routes to school and actually want children to flow and keep them safe, or like creek bike lanes as well, either consider starting the beginning of the streets, right? So they have a junction, a place to be safe while they're starting and ending their path. Or we're working with the cities across the board. I know it's not easy. But that's my take. So I'm not in favor of this particular plan. I am in favor of us evaluating and trying to find a solution that will work for everyone. And yeah, I'm happy to help out with what I can, but I know it won't be easy. But San Francisco does it, and that's far more complex than it is here. I lived in Oakland for 8 years as well, and I took many bike paths and I understand what it means to ride in high-density places. And I think we're capable of raising the challenge.
Scott, just a follow-up to what you were proposing, this more concept. How does that solve bikes going the other way? You know, it's the students walking and biking the other way. I mean, because it solves the issue of people coming in to high school. How about, you know, going the other way?
I mean, children deciding to not use the right side of the
No.
road, or
After school, I mean, that's all the problem, not coming down there. And potentially doing, I mean, you're also proposing to potentially do something about a bike lane.
it's a two-way flow, right? So you have one flow coming across, and then you would also direct traffic and have leverage the existing protected bike lanes that are down on, you know, from coming down Distal, protect them, and then have them queue up. I can think of multiple scenarios where there's like stopping rest place where bicyclists can load into before they need to cross. So it would be kind of just the opposite of the goal.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to take the next step, okay? Once you make that flow happen, then are you saying there's somehow that affects then what happens with the bikes and pedestrians on Distal itself? In some way? And, so the bike, instead of the bike lane, what are you proposing?
So I think it's important to have bike lanes. I think it currently at the beginning, the entrance to Distal off of El Camino, having bike lanes to flow the children and bicyclists into the right path. It would remove some parking spots, but by no means,
So what you
percent them all. And then they would be in the right place and be directed in, safety at the corners of the street, which is usually the most dangerous place for bicyclists. And the challenges that Stephen pointed out, right, with people taking a ride and trying to get to work or home after dropping off kids. So I think some portion of the bike lane pickup is important at the very beginning of Distal out in El Camino. And then finding out how we also create a path for kids to be safe and for normal bicyclists to understand where they're supposed to go is really important. And I think we can do it. Just as challenges, I see it like Jordan and Marriage every day. There's the same challenges, the same issues.
I guess one thing you want is, I think Stephen, you probably looked into this design, it's possible to do a cycle track on one side of the street. And if you do all the flow through the other side, then you could have a cycle track on one side where it's a two-way cycle track, I guess, a protected cycle track.
I did look into the cycle track. It's not something that I would recommend. Because the reason why is for a cycle track to work, you have to have a very limited number of driveways coming out to that road. The intent is to have just a cycle track with no obstruction whatsoever. When the general rule of thumb is for a cycle track to be effective, you should have one driveway per block. So that, but this is something that is being utilized in a residential where there's numerous driveway coming out, intersections, whatnot. So it would not be a good recommendation.
So the same design that we had on Almond would not be applicable.
I would have never put that in all in that, but that's my personal opinion. The problem with the cycle track is you expect a cycle to go a certain direction when you're pulling out. And so when you're pulling out and, as you're pulling out, you're looking into your right to look for that traffic to come in. It comes back in the other direction. So it makes it very difficult. The whole point of the cycle track is if you don't have any driveways, you're limiting the number of that. Now you can have the cycles going whichever direction without the fear of someone not observing properly.
You mentioned about having this, putting in the necessity to put a center line on that street. What's the effect of putting a center line without removing parking? What is your expectation? Because right now you're saying people are just driving through the middle of the street. And then, but you are now required to put a center line there, which means legally people have to drive that. And what is the effect of pedestrian and bicycle traffic, or people on bicycles?
It won't have any impact at all. It just means of controlling the traffic going through those areas. The width is still the same. It's still adequate enough for cars to park.
But if the bicycles are sharing that lane with vehicles, and vehicles cannot now.
Right now it's a share.
Yeah.
So the bicycles can utilize that lane already.
But now without the center line, cars can get around if they need to.
Correct, but
With the center line, that won't be possible.
no, with the center line, the width of the road is adequate enough that even with the cars going through there, a bicycle can still get around the cars. But if I go ahead and put in a 5 foot bike lane with 2 foot buffer, and now I'm gonna have a car, the lane width is restricted so much that you cannot have vehicles to travel through the center. So it comes out to, I believe, like 7 feet from the center line. So that's why it's like, it has to be one or the other, it cannot be both. The road width is not adequate enough for us to go and put everything on that road.
Yes, the point I was trying to make was if you put that center line, then you're gonna have both all the time.
Well, it depends on what center line we're in.
Yeah,
It could be a double yellow with a black center, or it could be a dash line.
okay,
So
so
you
okay,
can
that's
get
the
around.
one, okay.
Yeah, but I have various options,
Mhm.
but at least if I do that, cars can no longer drive in the center of the road. They have to pick one side or the other.
I think I'd like to have a discussion about Tony's proposal and why we can't do, have a bike lane, but have restricted parking, restricted time parking. And I understand that's an enforcement issue. That could be an issue even now. And people are gonna park, still, and at least it alleviates the problem of, during peak, bicycle time, until we find a longer term solution. And where we do the network correctly and get the people with, bike walking, the right side of the streets. This is a temporary solution for us. Where we have restricted parking during restricted times, and still have a protected bike lane during peak hours.
If the commissioners
It's
would
good
like,
option.
if the commissioners would like, we could take this in a phase approach where you would allow me to go ahead and do the lanes that I need to go ahead and start forward. See how the traffic flows, see how it circulates. That way you can see how the bicyclists can respond to this instead of just jumping directly into a bike lane.
You be clear about proposals, so just the center line.
Plus the center line, put a lane line, so you have a left turn and a right turn to the right. Push the parking for the apartment further back beyond just the 50 feet. Probably move it back closer to the entrance to the apartment complex, where you're gonna have parking and loading zone. So we free up at least 100 foot, so that the cars could release, make that right turn into that right turn lane, and see how the traffic flows first.
Is that only versus rush hour?
But this will be from the start.
You think that backup occurs more than just in the morning?
It happens both in the morning and in the afternoon.
But not necessarily in the noon or anything, so
It's only
kind of
affected,
hours.
yeah, based on my observation, only reason why it's being affected is people are trying to get to the high school to get their kids or drop off their kids in Rushville. So I've only seen, in the morning, I've seen it in 45 minutes. And then in the afternoon, within 30 minutes.
So you could actually say 50 feet of no parking all the time like it is, but you could say that another 50 feet is restricted at a certain time.
To that question, how many, we have a red curb right now from the, El Camino distal to a certain point, and then it's a green curb for temporary parking, what's that total distance?
I believe right now, I'm just trying to go off recall.
Yeah.
Because what we did is originally, we only had like 20 feet. The apartment complex did request additional green striping out there, so we did put more, striping. I would have to go back and see what the final results are. But my recommendation is not just make it 20 feet, 30 feet, but actually make it 100 feet. So that even if there's only 4 cars parked there, with that left turn, we still have another 50 feet for the car to release and make that right. We could take this a phase approach and see how it flows and see if it alleviates the issues.
Start at the center line.
So start the center line and then make a right turn there. And now start, they're splitting the existing lane into 2 lanes. So it's gonna be 10.5 and then 11-foot right turn pocket. So that the release could be there for the right turn, so that they can make a right on El Camino. While those 4 cars that's trying to make a left is not holding up right back.
Stephen, you can just walk us through how that might help, bicyclists? Just.
One of the
What would you see, so, there's a proposal, a bike lane, or just look at the traffic after the striping that we just proposed. What you expect, I guess, is, what would we expect from, or expect to alleviate that helps the bicyclists?
One thing I've noticed is this, because the cars are parked or backed up all the marriage. And the cars are parked right there. The conflict issue is close to the intersection itself.
Marriage.
Of El Camino and Distill. Because cars are trying to make that right turn release. Because they're trying to make that right turn release on a very limited time where the lights are green ball, they're in very much of a rush. And as soon as they stop to allow kids, those who are courteous, who actually stop to allow the kids to cross in that green light before making that right turn. Okay, when that happens, it starts backing up it starts backing up the traffic even further. Even though those 4 cars are gone, it still maintains them on the huge queue. So if you release some of those traffic to go back, to be released when there's ample amount of open with El Camino, the congestion wouldn't be there, they wouldn't be in a rush, they would be a little bit more orderly instead of the chaos of trying to make that light before the light turns.
And then for the student bicyclists who end up at the intersection, there's a right turn and a left turn lanes. What would you expect the bicycle, would you have some sort of a bicycle lane just at that portion so people can get on there and then go across, or what are you proposing?
Realistically, most likely the kids are gonna continue using the crosswalk to cross El Camino. That means they're gonna be pushing the pedestrian button. So we'll allow that pedestrian light.
They would take the right lane, get off.
Use the pedestrian lane, go across.
That's a suboptimal solution.
Yes. I mean, the kids are literally utilizing the sidewalk to go through that general area already. That way they don't have to keep waving in and out of the cars, not the traffic that gets congested.
Then and then just as last thought, what you are proposing in that intersection is you would have the bikes block that intersection anyways, right?
If, I think it's under the state law, but suggested that you walk your bike across the crosswalk, I don't know if that's law or not, or just.
But by design, the design you would.
Yeah, I guess I proposed, like striking the street, creating a right turn lane, and then us working to solve the route issue, which is like, I think creatively, and then if we continue to see, with bicycle safety in mind, but like looking to see how do we create an intersection that is safe route to school and that evaluates the scenario before we kind of go full on with it, and I think that's the best way for us to do our job. Can I ask you something about that? I like your idea. I think to the extent I understand it, I think it's almost all in Mountain View, right? What you're talking about, like the north side of El Camino, the action we're talking about. Like, do we think that there's a way that we could at least like have a conversation like that? I think talking about what we're experiencing here.
Majority of it actually is on the El Camino road, which is owned by Caltrans.
Okay.
And if we were to work with Caltrans, given we just restriped this, to have direction flow arrows to get the kids to take a ride off of Ring Store on El Camino, go to the appropriate crosswalk, which is, if you know TAM, T-A-M, that's the jujitsu thing, on the correct side, and then cross the street where they're supposed to, where it would flow any bicyclist, not just children.
Yep.
That is what we should be doing. That is the proper way to flow traffic, keep us safe, keep bicyclists safe, and the reversal would be true for us on our side to get children, bicyclists down Distal, or right on El Camino, and then giving them a safe path across on the correct side of the road on Ring Store, which is by Five Guys. And so you would have, to an artery and a vein basically flowing in the right flow as we would expect them to, and not try to solve for an interim challenge, which is obviously a challenge, but I don't know, our effort might be misplaced a little bit.
Keep in mind, the most amount of issue is in the morning because kids are being dropped off in the last minute. In the afternoon, the traffic does pick up, but it takes a lot longer for the kids to bicycle from the high school to this location. By that time, the traffic has already reduced to some extent. Not as bad as morning, because everybody's trying to hit that 8:30 mark. So traffic backs up starting about 8:20 to about 8:40 and then clears up.
What about considering I'm actually more concerned about bikes in the morning, like Stephen was saying, coming through. Why not consider having a bicycle, a bike lane on that side and just on one side of the road for now? And then on this side, you can continue to have a shuttle with the 2-lane design which was frozen to the right turn.
The reason why I'm not,
The reason why I'm saying is it also alleviates the problem that you were taking where I saw the same thing where kids cut across in the morning. Right, because the cars parked and cars backed up, so they're cutting across to the wrong side of the street and then crossing the ridge. That alleviates this problem, but at least gives the bicyclists a path on one side in the morning to get across. I think that'll solve a significant problem, and I think that's a bigger hazard in my mind.
one of the reasons why I'm not advocating for a bike lane only on one side is because if you're gonna have that, you're trying to encourage the kids to utilize the bike properly. So if you have a bike on one lane, the expectation is you're gonna be on a bike lane on the other side, this symmetrical on the other side. To go ahead and have a bike lane on one side and non-bicycle lane on the other, I would say. Yeah,
Yeah, the issue I'm also kind of trying to address is right in the corner of Murridge and Gustave. There's a conflict between bicycles, pedestrians there. Right, and, so, with showers, at least for now, the bicyclists can come down there, like you said, in the morning you have a full path. Something to consider, I don't know what others think about.
I have some important information. I help you, is that possible? So, okay, right
How about-
now,
Could you come up?
it's, okay, thank you.
Yes.
It's, right now, it's all the construction traffic. I mean, all their parking. We never had that before. It was always very open and stuff. And it's never been this, I've never had so many trucks and stuff in front of my house and on Marriage. And that is making it a lot more inconvenient for the kids to ride their bikes and stuff like that. But, before all this, which is gonna end, there's hardly anybody parks there, really. Not in front of my house, not in front of the house next to me. So it's, just wanted to bring
Yeah,
that up.
I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely.
Just quickly, just as a, you didn't think the time on this, but this is a rebuttal. There's actually gonna be more cars to park on Distal Drive and Distal Circle when the construction is done. Because right now, the percentage of construction workers is gonna be much less than the amount of residents living there. So I just wanna make that.
Good. Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks both. Yeah, I like the conversation right now. I think we're trying to think about what's possible, right? As always, we have some limited geometry and constraints that we're trying to solve for different interests. One thing, and apologies, Stephen, because I'm sure you've gone through this before. You know how many total parking spaces on both sides would be impacted by the proposal that we've looked at that you guys gave last month?
I did not measure the parking
That's
space.
fine, that's fine. We can find that out. I was curious too about what the impact might be if we did, the phased approach that you talked about, where you do the center line and then you push back some of the parking spaces on the right side northbound Distal, but, we can look and see what that looks like. One of the comments that we heard as well, one of the things I think about is obviously parking is an issue, but we are looking at a situation where realistically, it seems like there are going to be, more residents and, potentially more, use of whatever parking spaces there are. Maybe a better way to put it is more competition for scarce parking spaces. That might not be an argument for taking away parking spaces, but it is just to say that, that changes potentially how you think about the impact of the bike lane, I guess, in a vacuum. So something to think about there. Yeah, I like, Scott, your point that you made, about an improved wiggle and how we can potentially get folks coming in on the right side, and I like that. That concept, if it's something that we can put into practice. I personally haven't had experience working directly with Caltrans. Obviously they've done a ton of work on that street.
Can I contribute one thing?
Yeah,
So-
please, what's come up?
Part of the configuration issue and issue with the wiggle is that you have unprotected left turns. As it were, at the intersection. So the phase is green light, cars turning left. Pedestrians and bicycles utilizing that. So that's caused 2 recent fatalities in Mountain View. So that's probably why if there's a sign there, discourage you from crossing exposed to left turning traffic.
You're talking about the unprotected left, for folks that are northbound distal turning left onto El Camino, is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, so pedestrians crossing south would be in their path, so there was,
Yeah.
I think a couple months ago at Escuela, a fatality. Another one was in front of the REI building in Mountain View. So that's constrains, without changing the light phasing and giving the pedestrian only single crossing or making it a 4-way, makes it difficult. So Ringsdorf is the same way. So usually like at Clark, Caltrans, does not even, never allowed a crosswalk. I think at Jordan, there are crosswalks on both sides as opposed to Hubert. And protect the left turn, and Ringsdorf, of course, only has a crosswalk on one side as well.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. And I think that points up to why it's good to coordinate, to understand.
Oh, one more thing?
Yeah.
So the jurisdiction on El Camino is split between, Los Altos and Mountain View, because to some extent, the Los Altos border actually crossed El Camino. I don't know the agreement if it was at Ringsdorf or at Showers, where Los Altos has control on both sides. So I know, even though Mountain View is on one side, Los Altos actually has control and with the Caltrans to both sides.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, thank you for that as well.
No.
Oh, yeah, Tom.
So,
Yeah.
you mentioned Trish about all the kids coming through all the same time. Have we looked into the principal guys that are vice principal? Have we looked into that for staggering the class starting times? Cause I know other schools do that and that helps alleviate some traffic.
Well, we have to start at 8:30. We can't start earlier than 8:30. By California law, we can't start earlier than 8:30. And starting later than 8:30 is a difficult thing because then we're going to sports in the afternoon. So we're kind of locked into a certain set of hours.
Cause I know other schools do stagger the times.
Yeah, but, I mean, I can, it's also complicated. The schedule is a negotiated item.
I understand,
So
I'm
there's
just
a
saying that would help,
negotiation involved in that. So
that would help alleviate some of the problems.
I could bring it to the powers that be.
'Cause that's what they do.
Absolutely could not guarantee
They
it.
do that at the Mountain View High School. They just help alleviate some of the traffic,
It staggers.
some of the starting time.
You don't have to have a first period all the time, but most.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
yeah, we get to have our first period at 8:30. Mountain View also has the same thing. Some students have a first period, some students don't. If you don't, you start at second period. So for, I guess, we have that as well.
Okay.
So to what extent that, kind of staggering helps, I don't know.
It may also be too that they've staggered some of the starting times with the Polk Elementary that's right there too, there's a lot of traffic. I mean, I don't know.
Not aware of that.
But I'm saying staggering helps alleviate some traffic, whether it's.
Yeah, but I'm not sure whether or not, because I'm pretty sure that Mountain View High School has the same schedule we do. I'm almost certain that they do, that the staggering might have occurred at the elementary school instead. I'm not sure. I don't.
But just another idea, and think of something else.
It's sort of sound. I'd like to, proposal, that would move forward. I guess given the robust conversation and feedback on both sides, kind of somewhat neutral, but not, slightly heavily more weight towards, not in favor of e-bicycle lanes, but in favor of safety for sure. We take a phased approach to your suggestion, Stephen, which is strike the middle line, create the right path lane, and then
begin to understand the true long-term structure of the street. We'll see it in a few months or year, given the building of, Distal in 5150. And then at that time, we reconsider, put it as a high item for ourselves for 2026 to evaluate and make sure that we are considering a safe route to school, really focusing on bike safety and also putting effort into connecting with Mountain View and the Caltrans to find the potential solution that we think is interconnected and robust. That's my proposal, given where we're at.
Let's stop. Maybe, Stephen, I don't know if you have a response, but if I could add on a little bit, do like the idea of a phased approach, given what we've heard from a lot of folks. I also like the idea of taking a moment to see what the outcome is of some of the development there and see where that leaves us alongside the improvements that we're talking about keeping or implementing. I also like the idea of engaging with folks on the Mountain View side to understand why things are currently operating the way they are and what maybe any plan is for changes there on Rangstorf or El Camino, and what opportunities there are to help folks flow from that through to Distal in a safe way, and to get folks on the right side of the street and utilizing the street in the right way towards school. And then we could take a look and see how that goes. I also like the idea, I've heard Stephen, I heard, the objections and the consideration on the stop control at Distal and Marriage, and also potentially at some of the other intersections there, maybe Marriage and Casita, or where we're sort of encouraging folks to flow through down to the high school. I would like to see us, especially if we don't immediately implement a full bike lane across Distal, I would like to not lose sight of that part of the intersection, or that stretch of the street, because I think thinking about that area as well, I think could help promote safety, even here, even across Distal, because that seems to create some confusion, and it seems like maybe folks are trying to anticipate that in some of what they're doing along Distal. So understand there's challenges there, but I think we want to think about it as an entire route, and we should also be thinking about different options that people have to use Marriage, and just different considerations or trade-offs there, and think about what might be a safe approach. Because I think we want to get folks all the way to school safely. That seems like part of our exercise here. Yeah, those were my initial comments. Does anybody else have anything else before we maybe move forward on this? Hey, Tony.
I strongly support the idea of doing a phased approach. However, as stands, the proposal is not enough. We really need to be doing something for bike safety, and doing nothing in the first phase is just not acceptable.
I have a similar comment. I think, my concern is that we lose sight of the fact that we won't come back and address the bike safety.
Yeah.
We keep talking about the intersection there, but even still, all the traffic is powered through to stop, and that's not going away. And in fact, if Mountain View does something on their side to bring more bicycles along Reinsdorf, it's then even more imperative that we address, because all the bicycles are going to come through there. So, yeah, we could do the study, but I think the high priority has to be for us to come back and see, the parking situation is going to get worse. So we have to address that parking now or later.
Yeah.
And given the size of the street, we don't have, there is no other solution other than at least, taking out parking on one side and having a cycle track or a bicycle lane on one side, if that's possible in some future. So we have to revisit this one way or the other. And, it's just a incident waiting to happen. I mean, I see this, I went out there and stood there for like 3-4 days, and, it's just not safe at this point. So my concern is that we kind of lose sight of this. Some residents are concerned about parking, but it's going to get worse, and we won't have a solution. At that point, it's going to get harder for us to address the issue. So sooner or later, we do the study and then come back to see what we can do about, bike safety on that street.
Yeah.
I mean, bike and pedestrian, I think pedestrian safety is another concern too.
Yeah.
There is a pedestrian crossway on the other side, we have to get kids, students at the other side or address on this side, on the south side as well. And I'm not sure how we're gonna do that. So this is kind of why I was proposing to see if at least we could have a bike lane on one side to see how it works out. And I know that you're kind of not, you're worried about behavior, but at least it alleviates the situation on one side, so that could be a intermediate solution in addition to your proposal on the other side. Anyways, if that's not possible, at least we go ahead with a phased approach. I support that, but I'm concerned.
Don't lose sight of it, yeah. No, I hear that. I hear both your comment and Tony's comment, and I share that sentiment.
Yeah, and I think along with that, parking is, we addressed, parking issues on Jordan. And the spillover from that, we've addressed that. And I think this is going to be the same on this side as well. As the other two developments come, we'll have to address that parking anyways.
Especially to your point, on, Marriage or where parking might adjust, we've seen that the community can respond to that in some ways too, though. So it's not a state of nature. There are different approaches to take if that materializes too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want.
Just why I'm trying to make this, it is, whatever we're proposing now is definitely a temporary solution. We have to come back and address the bicycle and pedestrian safety on this stuff.
If in place, I mean, you could put in a bike lane.
What's that?
You're saying it's only a temporary solution.
Yeah.
But I guess it's.
And that's part of addressing the whole, the traffic patterns on El Camino, very start El Camino through the start into the city. You have to come back. It is, because if you really look at the map, it's the only safe routes to school that is reasonable distance for pedestrians and bicyclists. Everything else takes a much longer route, and so we have to address it.
You're talking about Rainstorm through Dissel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's really no alternative.
Yeah, when you look at LHS.
Was that?
Rainstorm to
The cedar, yes, all the way, yeah.
There's a whole path.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think this is if you talk about like a high priority corridor for safe routes to school for the city, this is
Has to be
it. Yeah, this has to be among the top. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is an easy call. I think that there's a lot of understandable consideration on both sides, and it's a tough stretch of street. I think, to your point, Suresh, I think Antony's, we really just have to foreground safety. And we have an existing safety situation at this intersection or at this stretch of street. And, we need to do something in the near term to address it, or it's just going to be live. So, yeah, I'm open to approaches that sort of address that more than require us to come back and do more at some point in the future, which to your point, I think there's value. Stephen, I think I heard you talk earlier and in the past about, there's a reason why we're addressing this now, right? Because we're all observing that there are, interactions and near misses and near conflicts. And we want to put a stop to that or address it as best we can. So, yeah. Does anybody have, so Scott, you came up with a proposal. Suresh, I heard a proposal from you. Do we have a sense of how we'd like to reconcile things for now, or what we might want to coordinate with city on? Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
Motion is to.
Yeah, I would just, they can make the motion, but before you do that, I'd like to see, Stephen, if you have any suggestion based on these, if you have any additional comments.
No, I think it's said enough. One other thing that I do need to address is the fact that it's still is slowly going from a quiet residential to something more, especially with all these developments going on in the area. And as city densifies, this is going to have a ripple effect in other locations as well. So, the whole reason why I brought this up is I'm trying to get ahead of the development that's actually occurring out there. because it's gonna take me a little while to get things implemented. One of the reasons why I asked for a metered approach is we're really trying to address a problem without really fully understanding what's gonna happen after things are installed, after development occurs, and the traffic comes in line. The pattern's gonna change then, between now and a year from now, when the other residential come in, because now we're in a situation where the Still Circle, the parking ratio is a lot lower, so I'm more expecting parking to be going on the street. So there's gonna be a phase where we're trying to patch up the problem, no matter what we try to do to be ahead of the problem. So I mean, my recommendation is meter approach at this point in time. Let's do the meter approach, see how the public reacts to it, how the traffic pattern goes. And then we can tweak it from that point on what additional things we need to do. City, we will never install sidewalks, but that is the safest route for pedestrians. It is our city policy, or the residents adamant that they do not want to see sidewalks in the city, so. We just gotta get around and figure things out.
There are sidewalks in parts of Los Altos.
Like the Los
Yeah.
Altos is,
You know,
it's less than 10%.
Citizens, that is about not one side,
Yeah,
some of it's one side.
yeah, understood.
Yeah, I have no other comments, so I think I made it clear.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
I have a. This phase through meeting approach, is that gonna include the parking issue on the whole street? So in other words, 24/7 no parking, or I think Tony,
The phase approach,
is gonna include, different times for north or south.
the phase approach is to, for me, install the center line. Push,
I know that.
install the center line on Disco. Push their parking back further away from the intersection itself. Install the right turn lane.
Right, I know all that.
Yeah, so that would be the phase for one.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with, you're not gonna include no parking? Okay, that was my concern.
No,
Okay,
so, well, after that's done, let's see what the traffic pattern looks like.
then we can
Let's-
look at no parking or time parking.
With that point done, yes. we
Then
can
I,
look into that.
then I can. Do my background.
Okay. So Scott, you were considering a motion? Do you want to make a motion? Yeah.
Well, I guess it's in line with that. Now we just modify, Stevens removal of all parking in front of, 5150 El Camino. And give them a 30-minute window close to the entrance of the exit of the building where it's, currently, keep clear, reason for, any personnel, staff, support, drop off packages, you name it. Ultimately, what we'll end up doing is creating, I think, a challenge where people will be parking across the street and then having to cross back and forth on a busy intersection, which we're trying to avoid and create safety. So people still need some form of access if it's a reasonable distance. If we looked at the actual numbers, it would be helpful, but I don't have those to say like what would be the right, blocking off, but keeping that in mind, how do we keep flow of people and vehicles safe in front of the complex, but also account for all the traffic needs that we have to do in phase one. And then as a part of this, the proposal would be, we focus in county 26 as we build our work plan as one of our top priorities to address this with Safe Routes to School and think about it holistically as we work through Casita to Rainstorm flow, as well as working with other cities and municipalities. All right, that's the proposal, not a motion, I guess. But that's,
All right. Okay, sounds like I think roughly what a consensus might be, for this first approach. Sounds like Stephen feels like that could be workable for now. To be honest, I'm not sure, I feel like we've addressed like the safety stuff enough, to be honest, so, that can just continues to be sort of, I'm not sure we have, a plan to do that right now. And I'm not sure what exactly the right approach is to get there either.
Something to work on. Put it
Yeah,
on.
something to work on. Yeah, exactly. Stephen, I guess like, if we're to put this in, do you have a timeline for, rough thinking about when this could be implemented by, when you'd like to have it be implemented by, and then, when we could come back and look back at it again?
In an ideal world,
Yeah.
if I had all the resources in the world.
Yeah.
I would love to have the lanes in by April,
Yeah, okay,
and then just kind of give it time to see how the traffic pattern works.
okay.
So this striking would be as part of the next cycle. Then the proposal that goes in. will go-
Actually, let's say this, I actually do have money for me to put this bicycle on this, strapping in now,
Okay.
but I would have to package it with a bigger project. So I would try to address other issues, same time address this. So over the winter time, we're gonna start doing some designs, refreshing our striping throughout the whole city. I could include this as part of that.
Okay, then I think what I heard from you, Scott, was do what we're calling a phased approach and implement these things, bring it back, maintain it as a high priority sort of stretch to watch, part of the network to watch. I think that sounds like something we could do. I just don't want us to lose sight of it, and I do have a concern that just the ordinary passage of time is gonna mean that it'll be a minute before we can come back and address this, and I don't like the fact that we have, sort of some safety issues hanging out during that time. Is this something that, I guess if we implemented it in April, could we be thinking about the next cycle? When's the next cycle where we have an opportunity to do more, like a phase 2?
Well, if I may suggest,
Yeah.
if we go ahead and implement it by April, let us wait until the Still Circle comes online, not in October.
Okay.
We'll see what the traffic pattern looks like.
Right.
Then we can try to look at things holistically.
Okay.
So if we do need to do a design, then it'll be the spring the following year.
Okay. Spring.
So by October,
Yeah.
if the Still Circle does come online, we should start seeing the impact by probably about February, March, when it's fully occupied. And then we should start seeing what the traffic plan is gonna be like.
Okay. And then clearly there are a couple things that we can look at in parallel too, like if there's any work or understanding we can come to on the El Camino side, on the Rexford side, then that could happen in parallel alongside that. And then I would like to add to any proposal, at least consider the idea of looking at a stop control at least the Distal Marriage intersection, and potentially take a look all the way down Marriage, Casita to the high school. Or at least I think we have a pretty good picture of Casita stopping at Jardine. We've done work as a city over the past year in that, so I feel like maybe Marriage to Soul intersection down at Casita through the Jardine, and look at how that looks. And I'm not proposing anything, but just like,
Didn't Steven say that would take a lot longer?
what
It
would.
would add time to talk about. just the-
Oh, yeah,
the stop
sorry,
sign.
I'm not talking about any of this happening in series, I'm talking about doing the phase 1 approach now, and alongside that in parallel, same time. Look
That's why
at
it
stop
would
control,
take a longer time to do that,
take longer to do what, Tom?
to do a stop sign study.
It'll
Sorry.
take about a month and a half to do a stop sign study. But I wouldn't do it right now. I'd wait until the Still
Right.
Circle comes online.
That's what I kind of got from what you were saying.
Yeah,
So I
because
would do it, stop, or not stop, but less than the same.
Yeah.
So,
the reason why is because one of the factors is volume.
Yeah.
We don't have the volume out there. The other factor is accident history. We don't have an accident history.
When you say we don't have volume, what do you mean by that?
You have to have 6,000 vehicles. Probably the. Minimum.
To do a stop sign?
Do a stop sign.
Oh, okay.
If you don't meet the warrant, what typically happens is this. We install stop signs without warrant in certain locations, the council asked us to.
Yeah.
By doing that at those locations, you start seeing cars doing the California roll stop. They're not doing the full stop.
Yeah.
It's now causing a bigger hazard.
Yeah.
Because cars are not stopping properly.
Got it. Although in this case, it sounds like there's safety issues due to the absence of a stop sign. that even if you had,
Well,
Roll
that's the study.
yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm advocating for a study. Yeah, because I think it could.
But I don't want that handicapping us from doing kind of line road.
Nothing that I'm talking about would have any impact on that work.
Want to make sure Stephen. This is what implementing.
Is that fair to say, Stephen? Yes. So
Okay.
nothing would impact what we're talking about. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, I guess I would want to bundle that into the work that we do, is to at least look at that study that I hear what you're saying, Stephen, about you want to see what happens with Distal Circle. I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but I want to make sure that we have that on the timeline, I guess, if that makes sense. That would be my addition. Okay. Do we wanna go ahead?
Stephen, are we clear on their direction? Or what they want?
Well, that's what I was even gonna
Yeah.
make sure.
I just wanna make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
We're not clear yet because we haven't had it approved, proposal.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it sounds like we're talking about, maybe I'll restate what I've heard. Folks can correct me if they heard differently or have a different desire. Do a phased approach. Stephen's gonna do the center line. He's gonna look at backing up the parking, to create a right turn, release, on the street. We're gonna maintain focus on this intersection and see how the traffic and activity on the street responds. And so that'll be phase one. And then we'll maintain focus on the work plan in 2026. So that work can go forward. And then what I wanted to add into that is, at the appropriate time, maybe when Distal Circle comes online, we can look at a stop control study and see what impact that would have on the street. How does that sound to other folks on the commission? Maybe just qualitatively before we take a vote, folks think that sounds like the right approach for now.
I have no additional comments.
My additional comment would just be, what was the consideration for keeping some temporary, short-term parking in front of the condominiums while not impeding the flow?
Yeah, no, all I'm gonna do is, the loading zone is gonna be pushed back. The regular parking is gonna be pushed back. So basically, all the striping that's coming out there, it's gonna be pushed back further away from the intersection.
Yeah, then I guess, I'll make a motion on this and we'll just see how we do. I'll make a motion to, recommend to Stephen, that's the recommendation from the commission, that we proceed with the phased approach, in that way. Do we want to take a vote on that? Let's do it.
Yes, second your motion.
Second your motion. Okay, thank you.
Who's second?
Scott.
Scott, second.
Yeah. Thanks, Art. All those in favor of taking that approach? Two, three. No.
So is it,
Tom.
who's
Where did you send?
who's yes?
You're sending my comments, prior comments. And the same thing with my prior comments. I already know my comment, concerned about not having.
He just,
I mean,
abstained or?
yeah.
No,
I mean,
just not a yes vote, that's all.
It's not on your vote, so how many votes?
So he's abstaining.
Yeah, he's abstained.
So we got-
So
So we got a three.
That's the no vote.
so you got three.
I think we got three in favor, but yeah, and I'm not sure about, how many votes we should have, but, that's kind of, yeah. Yeah, call for a name. Is anyone a name? Okay, we have one, we've got one abstain. Okay. So 3, 1,
And I'm abstained.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm open to, hearing that's kind of, I was trying to elicit like a counter, not counter, but alternate proposal, folks.
I think,
Yeah, didn't want to offer that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to offer it because I don't want to stop the work going forward.
Yeah.
I don't want to note my reservations about not having the pipelines, so.
Got it.
And I think we have to address the parking at some point. The sooner we get to it, better. But I do understand that, maybe we wait till what happened with this and find out what happened, so. Those are just my comments.
Okay, all right, thank you, Suresh. Okay, then I think that's our vote. All right.
So you pass?
Yeah.
So 3, 1 no.
3, 1, 1.
Mine
Yeah.
abstained.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and then thanks to everyone for coming in for this, and thanks for staying up late with us. Yeah, let's take a break. I'll come back.
We'll keep it positive recording. Okay, this recording,
Thanks, Art. All right, welcome back. We have more agenda items than just this one. Okay. All right, we have two years worth of work plan to talk about. So, let's try to, I'm gonna do what I can to help us move quickly. 2026 work plan. So tonight we wanted to discuss the next work plan, approve the formation of an ad hoc subcommittee to work on the 2026 work plan. Maybe we will, defer if others have a different view, but maybe the first thing is, my suggestion is we are gonna form an ad hoc subcommittee to work on the 2026 work plan, so maybe we just do that first. And let's talk about, do we have any volunteers to work on the 2026 work plan? Maybe before I ask for volunteers, Suresh, go ahead. Yeah.
We need to make a formal decision to move that item up, so first. Or
Oh, you're saying because the first one is discuss the next work plan and then approves the formation
Yeah.
in that order?
That's-
Okay.
it's just formal.
I didn't see those as sequential, doesn't say like first
Yeah.
one and then the other, but yeah, we can do.
Since it's an agenda item.
Yeah.
Just note it.
Yeah.
uh,
Noted, yeah, absolutely, noted. Okay.
And then can you just make sure we understand what the ad hoc subcommittee?
Yeah, absolutely, here we go.
Let's get
Okay.
it on there for me.
The motion of establishment must include that the ad hoc subcommittee is comprised solely of members of the commission. Establishing the ad hoc subcommittee consists of less than a quorum of the commission, includes a defined purpose and the time frame to accomplish that purpose, and is less than 1 year in duration, will automatically terminate when a final report is given to the commission or when the time frame established by the commission is met, unless extended by the commission at a public meeting, will not be reestablished or renewed in multiple years, and is advisory in nature. It's not established to work on an item where reviewing jurisdiction exists.
All right.
Thanks, Art. Okay, so, maybe I'll say really briefly, because I think I'm stretching my memory going back a year, but it was me and Scott and Suresh who worked on the work plan for this past year, in the Solid Subcommittee. I think it's just speaking to the whole commission, I think it's a good experience. It's important for, figuring out, what we want to work on, what we want to prioritize. And it's not a crazy time commitment or anything like that. You can meet like once, twice, it's not, necessarily like a huge time commitment. This proposal might consider it. Yeah, if there's anything that's interesting to you, you can work on making sure that, we're appropriately considering those things for the coming year. I think it's a good way for people to get involved in the work. Anyway, I'll stop selling it and say, is there anybody who would like to be part of that for this year? And maybe we'll think about how many people. We did 3 last year, but I think we have the same number of commissioners that we did last year. Yeah, we do now, more or less. Yeah, so I think, last year we did 3.
Yeah.
I think 3 is a good number.
Three
Yeah.
number.
I think 3 is a good number.
Up to
Yeah.
three, up to three.
Yeah, up to 3. Yeah, that's the max we can have.
Right.
But I think it's good. It shares the work around, lets people have a couple different opinions. So, okay, that said, understanding that we're also gonna be, having some people perform some other functions, at the end of this meeting. Does anybody, want to volunteer for 2026? Do we have any?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Absolutely.
What is the timeline? When does the work plan have to be approved?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really good question. I don't actually know what
It just needs to be
Yeah.
ready to be presented to the city council, the joint city council meeting with the commissions. I think it's around February, sometimes March, so we just gotta get it ready before that.
Yeah, finalize before that.
Exactly,
I mean, that's
so that's
like,
what we're gonna be presenting.
that's-
what you guys-
that's the end of the first quarter of the year that the work plan relates to, so if you
Exactly.
wanna have, be thinking about it,
So we will.
relatively soon. But then, yeah, it doesn't have to be finalized, until that time, to be presented to the council. So,
Typically, the city council meeting is when, February, the second week, right?
It's the second, isn't it the second and the fourth, right? Excuse me, second and fourth, right?
I believe last time was, well.
I think the council meetings are second and fourth. Right?
Second and fourth, but the last time was about April?
And it was a little late last
Yeah,
year.
it was a little late last
It
year.
was a little late. Usually we do it around February, because, the ones that
We should be ready
before.
let's
Because
say,
you'll have,
second week of February.
you'll have,
Yeah, absolutely.
November, January, February, and then you're gonna be meeting.
Yes,
before-
so we'll have, we're at the end of October now, we'll have a November meeting, we'll have a
January.
January meeting, So those will have 2 full commission meetings before that report needs to be finalized. And so that means
Again, we'll
in
find out.
between,
We'll find out
you
more.
get feedback from the full commission, quite a bit of feedback. And so I think that helps.
So, just to, a little bit, couple of clarifying things.
Yeah.
So the subcommittee can meet any number of times by themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they can have the support of staff to go to the plans. And also commissioners can provide input any of the commissioners can provide input into the work plan. They have to email it to Art.
And I think I will forward
Give
it.
forward it to the subcommittee.
Yeah.
So that can happen irrespective of the. committee.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Do we have any, volunteers for this stuff?
For me, it's a learning opportunity, but I'm the new one, so
Yeah.
I will ask a lot of questions.
Well, I think it would be a
The thing
great,
is, I was trying to
Yeah.
understand the timeline, because of course it means the meetings have to be in November, December, January, and with the holidays.
we do
All
not,
of that.
we do not.
Well, no, I mean the subcommittee.
Oh, subcommittee, yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
know
yes.
that there's no meeting for
Yeah.
this group, but then it means that.
Well, you guys decide when you guys wanna meet, when you guys can, meet, and that's your discussion. That's your discussion. So it's not like, you have to meet in December in the holiday.
Yeah.
No, no, it's something for the November meeting and something for the
Yes.
January.
Yeah.
Totally.
Correct.
And I will say that I personally, other people may feel differently. I personally didn't feel like, didn't feel like there was a ton of time pressure or anything like that. Like you had plenty of opportunity to talk, and you can use, obviously leverage, what we've done in past years and build from that. And so it doesn't feel like.
Yeah.
totally-
You already have.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Lock up plans, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Burley, you want to?
I mean, I think I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We got one, so we got one, we got.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Anybody else? Make it 3?
I will put my hand up. I don't wanna, monopolize, being on the work plan, but since I'm not gonna be chair, after today,
Oh, perfect.
then might as well help with that.
All right.
Okay, all right.
So we got 3? All right.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody for
Yeah.
being open to that. I think it makes a huge difference. I think it's a big part of how we can, obviously add value for the commission, for the city. So, okay, so we've got that. Then also on here is discuss the next work plan. So we've obviously got a work plan for this year that we're currently working through. Steven, is it possible, are you controlling or is Art back now? Art, okay, maybe we'll just put the World Series up. No, it's just,
I can watch it anyway, not.
Give over.
yeah. The what?
Do you want me to put it up on the screen?
Yeah, can you? Well, you know what?
Do we?
It's so small that.
That's,
you probably can't see it.
it's
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
We can add,
It's that one, yeah.
copy can be added, you can add to express shop with a file, but it has to.
No.
What I'll do is I'll email the hard copy. I'll do it right now, actually, so you can have it on your computer.
Yeah.
It is.
It's in the agenda pack.
Very last page.
So you can do that at least on there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I just put it out just to.
Yeah.
That's, maybe I should have. put it out.
So, okay.
Yeah, it's that.
So it's interesting to talk about 2026 before we talk about 2025, but that's what we've got. I want to be mindful that we're already here late, and maybe just talk about some big picture stuff for 2026.
Maybe structure.
Yeah,
I would
structure.
say some structure would be helpful. So you
Yeah.
Kind of have that thing, so
Yeah,
I would recommend that, I think.
absolutely. I mean,
It's easier.
maybe big picture. I mean, Clara, you're newish to the commission, so I'll say a couple things on our priorities for 2025 and what we worked on for the work plan were Safe Routes to School. This is a great resource to familiarize all of us ourselves with. Complete Streets Master Plan. That's kind of like a big part of the driving force for what we want to complete. Every year there is street work done, and a big part of what I focus on is working with Steven and Art and folks in the city to make sure that we're aligning the street work that is done with the safety
And
priorities.
again,
Yeah.
we also need to align it with the council strategic goal. So
Yes,
we had this year, they might change it next year, we just don't know. So again, this is gonna be
Yeah.
a draft. It's a draft
Yeah.
work plan.
exactly. And that's a good point too. It's dynamic and it can change.
Exactly.
Isn't the city council, when they get new elected officials?
I'm not too sure.
I don't know if
That
anybody's up in
changes
November.
the direction too.
There's nobody up for.
I think nobody really-
This year.
Yeah.
But you'll be one next year.
Because I know Lisa is going to, is she going for the county assessor?
She's running for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if that's the case, then they may be,
they will have to replace it.
replace her, and it's gonna be up to council. who they want.
No, it's a point.
Yeah.
Alright, so yeah, so we could see one person change on the council. Yeah, so that's interesting.
But yeah, we're gonna make sure, yeah, city council, strategic goals. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another great point. I mean, I think we'll see when we talk about 2025, maybe a little bit more detail about what some of the priorities are and might be ongoing. So maybe it's worth, just talking about it in that way. One thing that, well, yeah, maybe we just do that. I mean, I think those are the big picture things. I guess I'll ask, because I'm talking a lot, is there anything else, high level, big picture that anybody would like to raise right now for the 2026 work plan? That's worth discussing now. Tony,
I will point out that earlier this year, we decided we're gonna start on the resurfacing project plan sooner,
absolutely.
like now.
Just to let you know, the last, it was awarded, it was approved by, city council. PPF Engineers is our new designers for the next year's, annual street. We're actually doing a kickoff meeting on Monday, and there should be starting to design, and I don't know if we might bring something on the 19th. That's kind of on the schedule for the next meeting, but we'll see. I can't promise anything, but
It's gonna be tight.
it's gonna be tight, but we are doing a kickoff meeting.
When you meet with them.
I've seen a bunch of work going on, like, on the street work going on. Yeah,
I know, but you guys were talking.
But
about
like over the last month or two, right?
Subsurfaces
Yeah.
and what the streets, all of them were, there was some that didn't know what was underneath them.
Well, that's part of the design.
That's part of their design. Okay.
Again, we already know the streets, right? Those streets already been picked, resurfacing, it's on the list, so, it's on,
Yeah,
Yeah, the conversation, not the streets will focus on.
Yeah.
We could shift a little bit.
Exactly.
Depending on enforcement or change.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's, we'll get the
And
engineer
then-
input and then we will have.
And then this last one, we have 3 alt, bids, that wasn't part of it because of, budget wise, not Newcastle. What was the street, Stonehaven, Labor,
Alicia.
and Labor Court. So those 3 streets, and we might put that for next year's, receptacle.
Okay.
Again, that's already, it does change, so.
a couple things can move.
Yeah, exactly.
But the big thing we want to do, some learnings, is bring things up as quickly as we possibly can. Where there's, stuff that we anticipate is going to impact people in the neighborhoods and the residents of the areas, so that people have a chance to weigh in, give their input, get enough time, feel like they've been reached out to, actually engage folks, and make that happen. So,
We do know those streets, so.
Yeah.
we-
totally.
Anything, putting back in kind, we're not gonna bring it to commission, but the other ones that, have maybe more improvements, we're
Yeah.
definitely bringing them, so.
Yeah.
I would start looking at those streets and, so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so that's that. Scott, did you have anything else on 2026? I saw your hand go up earlier. I didn't know if you already.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's some, of our 5 goals from 2025, most of these are still applicable. The projects will shift, of course, but some projects need to stay.
Yeah.
Case in point, today's session with the public, right, project number 3, wayfinder maps and signage for
Yeah.
safe routes to school. I
Yep.
think that, I think we could double click into this as a commission, and we see an opportunity of an area where we can be really thoughtful about how to create safe passages for children, and not just like, oh, this is the safe route, that's nice. But actually, how do you make it safe from like point A to point B with lots of different waypoints in between?
100%.
If we were to say as commission, like, as we're thinking about street resurfacing, Steve and I, and we're thinking about how do we cost of painting or redoing these things, like, let's we don't have to be too bold, let's be realistic, like 5 or 3 spots, so we're like, great, here's the areas of conflict. How do we focus on these things? Create, you know, a thoughtful plan that can leverage your knowledge, Stephen, as a city planner, engineer, and then really say, great, let's take these and make sure that we incorporate that into our work. It's an opportunity for us. We learned a lot just on this thing of like, we solve a Band-Aid or do we like look at the problem? And I think we need to wow the public, but we can like actually do what we're supposed to do, which is take off the school, police use master plan, and focus on bicycle safety, which I think we all agree is needed. Yeah, so that's my kind of theme I'm seeing. Aside from some of the other things that weren't completed right, which are blocked. So I think that.
Can I just make one comment on that?
Yeah.
I would have the subcommittee then maybe pick this thing that we just discussed about as a potential project, first project.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Just, it's a thing that subcommittee would consider, whether it's feasible given the time frame.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, it was asked of nothing else from the public in many ways, right? Even if people opposed it, they still said, I want people to be safe on roads, I want my kids to be safe, and yeah, so it's obvious. Yeah, the other pieces, I'm just looking at like the notes section, if you're looking at that far for the first time, there's some rationale for why things are on hold or they proceed forward. Some of them have to, you know, we have to, you know, from e-bike ordinance got completed, right, we pushed that out of our hand, but in the end, some of those things were done. San Antonio improvement's gonna be a hot one, right? Obviously, that's coming up. It's gonna be, that's gonna be a huge chunk of our time, but I think we have to be very mindful as we take on work, because that's gonna take multiple iteration sessions and a lot of our focus. So we wanna maybe narrow down our scope a little bit, so we can be more focused as a commission this coming year. While we always can do a lot, eventually we become scattered, but we're like, oh, what are we actually gonna achieve? What are the 5 things we want to walk away with? I mean, that's my general take for 2026, right? I mean, that's nothing radical, it's sensible, and then focuses on the areas and things I've learned about the last 2 years that we need to go.
Hold means, then like do the things on hold automatically rather than next year's work plan? Or not necessarily,
Yes.
they could be completely.
The work plans, I think, are becoming more formalized across commissions. The city, the council created this framework for us, which all commissions are using, which is great. And then we now have a kind of a story that will be told over time as long as we continue to use this framework. So,
Okay.
we can be as aggressive as we want or not, and there's no bar. It's up to us as commissioners to decide that.
Yeah.
And for things that are on hold, right, because like number 7, San Antonio improvements, we had to put it on hold because we just weren't, we couldn't proceed yet.
And this thing was presented to the city council and they didn't have any comments on it, so it was a good. point.
Yeah.
And that's-
So then number 4, the other one that's on hold is that. It's not something, I mean, we have discussed this extensively here and we have to wait for a circulation plan updates.
Oh,
There's a lot of
Yeah.
okay, I see, yeah.
I think that's why I would say it's not automatic. We would look at each of these and say, why is it on hold? And is the
Does it
fact,
make sense?
is the reason why it's on hold something that we can actually address in the coming year? If it is, then we can bring it back, and if not, we should probably table it
Yeah.
or, you know, work on something else. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything I heard you say, Scott. All well stated. I might add, one of the things I'm seeing, and maybe I have a personal perspective on it, because I have 2 kids now in elementary school, and, you know, I've seen now, I've also been visiting other schools and seeing, both, you know, what we've done for the St. Francis School, and also, you know, hearing from parents and community people about, you know, accessibility issues, safety issues, and getting involved with things like, we talk a lot about like outreach and education for communities, and how do we do that? And when I'm visiting schools, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for us to engage with folks, hear from folks, and do things that are helpful for those communities. Like, I don't know if other folks, you know, are familiar with, they have these walk or wheel days where obviously like we are encouraging people to ride their bikes or walk to or from school. And what I've come to find out is it's pretty uneven in terms of which schools do or don't do them, how frequently they do them, what the participation is like, what the feeling is like among folks about whether this is like really safe or really great experience or not as great an experience. So I don't have a specific proposal, but just like I think for 2026 it would be great to think about ways that Like, for example, I'm putting together the first walker wheel for Covington, I should say me, like me and other people are putting together the first walker wheel for Covington that I'm aware of in memory, recent memory. And it's a lot of work, so I would like to see, like, are there creative ways that we can think about lightweight ways that we can reach out to schools, talk to folks, maybe stimulate a PTA to get involved, or parent groups to get involved. I think to Scott, to your point, we are a limited group of people. We all have, families, careers, Suresh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is Greentown's work and,
Yeah, exactly. And actually
we
working with
continue to
Marcia
do
in that too, yeah.
So during COVID, it had dropped off quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then now we had 4 schools come online back.
Yeah,
And now the Covington's joining. I think we'll continue from Greentown's
Yeah.
perspective, we'll continue to push this forward.
absolutely. Love that. And in fact, working with Greentown was one of the things that I was gonna raise as something that we could, help pursue. And even better, if it's like something that you guys for Greentown feels like they have a good handle on, that's awesome. And I feel like that's such a contribution. to the
Yeah, I
city,
think
so.
we have a handle on,
Yeah.
but getting people involved.
Yes. Yeah.
That's still, I think, as a commission, as everyone, we can. contribute.
Is there an angle where we can, help contribute as a
Right.
commission and make, increase participation, increase awareness, absolutely. Okay, so maybe that's the right way to think about it. Thank you for that framing. Yeah, but anyway, that was my, I think that's a big picture thing, think about 2026. Here we go. Anybody have anything else on 26?
Couple things
Yeah.
that you may wanna think about, again, is, we had this thing about, although we had this thing about traffic calming specifically for
Yeah.
downtown. Something to consider is just traffic calming in general. We have a calming plan in the city, we've been wanting to raise this over and over. To revisit this, is this
Yeah.
something that we want to think about? Like, obviously, it's gonna require a lot of staff time to be able to do that. Maybe subcommittee to discuss with the staff about looking at the traffic calming plan. And
Yeah.
is that still something that we want to do, or does it become part of the general plan? At least we should have an idea as to how to move that forward, because it's an old plan. And we don't have something that replaces it. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, weren't you gonna do something with, or you doing something with the surveys of the streets? That's be done first.
Yeah, so I was gonna
So
bring that
that's
up.
not gonna, so you don't have a report on that yet? Cause that's I think that's prerequisite to traffic calm.
What directed directed Azor State last year. He's committed to have it done by an outside third party. So prior to that happening, we're trying to go through the budget process.
Oh, I see, well, that's
So I'm saying,
different.
I think that's also a prior, or prerequisite to traffic calm.
Yes. Originally, we were gonna do it in-house, but the director wants a third party to do it, so.
So should we put that in here, prerequisite is to get that third party information first?
I just wanted to, I think we can make it as the sub of the traffic calming study in general, so I would, let's not make it a prerequisite. We may want to move forward with, thinking about the traffic calming plan in general. Now, obviously, this will be an input into it. Right?
Well, it might affect the date on that too, the due dates, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Traffic calming, agreed.
Something that I've heard from, I think, like many people on my street, but also people in the neighborhood, is providing safety for lack of sidewalks. If the statistic is true that only 10% of our 10% of our roads do not have sidewalks, that means 90% of the walking happening is on the soft shoulder or bicycling. It's maybe beating a horse here a little bit, but not moved it anywhere. Is that there is inconsistent maintenance or management of the property between the property line and the road edge itself. There's two things out about it. There's one, from a financial perspective and maintaining roads. People that don't maintain them, or they, a big storm comes and washes away part of the sidewalk, it actually begins eating that away at the side buffers and creates damage underneath the road. I see it everywhere now that I know what I'm looking for. I'm like, oh, this should just costing us more money because those aren't maintained. Secondly, it's dangerous because then people walk in the street and it creates congestion. We see it all the time. The
issue that I've heard from residents is that there's no standardization or like a policy of like, here's what you need to do, or here's licensed contractors. Or, you know, they're like, Scott, can you help me find the right people to actually find someone that does this? And like, and then we got stuck in this loop of like a bureaucratic nightmare, if you will, within the city. All cities have that. So I don't know if there's a way for us to think about this, like if we want to make our city safe with no streetlights and create a safe place for people to walk, can we as a commission have an impact on that to help simplify the process on the city level?
There's already a policy in place to do, certain treatments of shoulders. We are not able to provide a contract for it, because we go through one contract over another. So it's up to the residents to try to find a contract on their own.
Yeah, so I mean, the example I've heard and actually seen friends that live in Portland or Oakland or other places is that the city will say, hey, we'll fix it for a set amount of money. You don't worry about it. We'll come and remove the, you know, flatten out your concrete or remove the tree root or fix this thing, or you can pay someone. And they're often like, city, I'll just pay you, fix this, please. And other cities do this. It's very common. Yeah, it's the normal practice. So I was surprised when we, as a city, they're like, now I can't even find someone because they need an extra permit. And I'm like, oh, this is why all these things are broken, is because the process by which we are not creating a complete street. It's like a street and that's it, and no sidewalks. So I'm like, well, we're the commission that would have to lead this forward. And it's not easy, right? We'd have to like, we want the city to help us manage our sidewalks.
That's a very good point, and I think, you know, Stephen, you probably have a lot of experience with this. Is there anything, just in, you know, like you can move the needle forward in at least discussing this in some way?
I caution you on going down this road.
Which are why?
Because if you have the means to do it, you welcome the city doing it. One of the mechanisms for us as a city to be ensured that we get reimbursed for that is put a mechanical lead of this property. If you don't pay it, then we have means of recuperating it. I've been with cities that does a loan for 10 years and is assessed through the property tax. It becomes a hardship, and it also becomes a tracking nightmare for the staff. We have not done that in the past because, again, it becomes a tracking nightmare. It becomes another bureaucracy that we need to add on, go ahead and administer.
Are you saying someone's gonna put a lien on the individual properties?
Yeah.
No, the payment. So if you as a citizen and you pay the city to do this work, it's hard for the city to collect the funds to have the work paid for.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes it costs like $10,000-$20,000.
Right.
Not everybody has that kind of cash. So what that does is we'll give a very low interest rate, and some of the agency have been there. They'll give a low interest rate on that to ensure that it's being paid. It is a lien against the property until that has been fully paid.
That's only if you want it to be done, or is it mandated?
It gives you the option. You can either pay it upfront and not worry about it, or if you're unable to have.
Or if I don't want it done.
Well, then that's,
Well,
then you don't want it.
That's your choice.
that is the other part that is the other part that is very slippery slope.
Exactly.
You may not want it done, but your neighbors want it done.
Yeah.
So that becomes a health and safety issue that the city has to take action
So
on.
the city could implement eminent domain on me and.
It's fine to
You
do it
have
by
a
name.
Anybody
neighbor.
put a fine,
You don't-
fine, do the work and put a lien on your property.
You know,
That's why I said, be very careful going down this road because it's a very slippery slope.
Okay.
So I,
Another point.
go ahead.
I think I saw some of this being done on Newcastle. Some of the other sidewalk work being done, and.
that's just part of the annual
That's part of the
street
project.
service. That's part of
It
the
looked like
project.
it was new work being done.
Yeah, as part of the project, some of the curves you can fix, so
Right.
you could paint it properly, some of the curves.
Cause I think.
that kind of thing. That's part of the project, so that's just.
Okay, cause I know that they were doing that prior.
So you have to do it before you do the mill and fill. So
Cause I saw the signs, they're closing the street, I think today, and.
they're doing
the
the,
rest of
they're doing the paving now.
Right.
So, but they had to do all this concrete work before.
Cause that's what I saw, I was like, what is?
So,
88, that's what I was.
yeah, so ADA ramps, curves, anything
But
that's.
they're not, they're
If
not,
it's part of the project, we will include it, and, you know,
so you didn't come down and
put a load on these people.
No, because that, you know, that's part of the city project, so. we're really-
All right.
But
Unless you guys want us, you guys want to.
Well, it's not my time.
So.
But you're
we
saying
do
we
it.
do have a policy, there's a policy.
There's a
why is
policy
it-
on what kind of treatment they put in the front.
Oh, the type of treatment, that was a policy. But there's no policy saying that I have to do it as a homeowner, even for safety reasons.
If it becomes a safety issue, we will send you a
Who
notification.
decides if it's a safety?
The city will say.
We will. Just like right now, we're already
I mean,
sending.
well, I mean, I can go on.
What you guys don't know is this, we have not had this adequate staffing to monitor and administer.
No, I can see all of this.
So, one of the things that I'm pushing really hard on our streets department is to start recapturing our right of way. So that means people have to start trimming back their trees, their bushes, for public safety.
No.
So we have already been doing that. Soon as we either get notified from the public or we see an issue, we've been sending out letters to the residents to correct these issues.
It's a great priority. Okay.
Well,
We addressed everything for the 2026.
It's like, I think to bring
Got
up.
all the
city
ideas
council
with
meeting.
that.
does that include street lights?
Streetlights, let us know. We will be getting on PGDs to fix this. If it is ours, we can fix it.
One thing I
I
want,
have new ones.
Scott, I like your hobby horse about continually bringing this up, and I also like, there's something that I noticed, I brought it up in a prior meeting, but maybe something to just like think about for 2026 is, the Complete Streets Master Plan has a bunch of versions of things that are not sidewalks, that are still safer abutments to the street than what we currently have in most of the city. And I think this is my hobby horse, is people should look at the Complete Streets Master Plan, because there's a lot of thought and work that went into that, and there's things like a berm, slight separation from the main part of the street. Stephen, you're probably familiar with some of these like different things that you can have that can create separation or safety elements that I think we should consider, rather than just saying, okay, we don't do sidewalks, so we don't do anything, right? Like, I think that's similar to what I hear from you, Scott.
It's in the same bucket, right?
Yeah.
Because like, I see kids and people with dogs and walking in places where they shouldn't have to walk, because whether the resident is guilty or not, like the sidewalk easement is not maintained, and they're
Yes.
filled up with water during the rainy season, then the kids are now biking on marriage in places. I'm like, oh, this is such a problem. This is just a small enough. I've ridden the city over and I see it everywhere. And I'm like, well, what do the residents do that have like the rolled curbs? Do they have to maintain those if those deteriorate? I don't think they do, but then again, I don't know. So, okay. Well, anyhow, I feel like it's an opportunity for us to like maybe help the city and residents to like create not just safe roads, but safe walking places, which with an issue. People are like, oh, it's where reflective clothing. Like, well, what's the root cause? The root cause is poorly named walking paths.
And I think there's a good point, maybe for you to raise at the meeting with the city council.
Yeah.
Because, and
That's right.
yeah, it's a significant project. It's gonna be significant amount of, staff time, enforcement. There's just a whole lot of other sort of tentacles into other things. But I think, yeah, but I think we all agree that this is something that we want to please start thinking about.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for hearing me out.
Yeah. No, love it.
For
Okay.
me, first time, so.
Yeah.
I'll say for like 8 times.
Yeah.
The San Antonio project, I know that kind of within the design and so on, but I wanted to see if you can look at all the pedestrian flashing or FR.
RFB.
No, FR.
RFP.
Okay, whatever. There's some that are inconsistent, especially towards the south side,
So,
San Antonio. There's some that have just only the diamond and not the flash.
so the one with the flash are new systems.
Right.
So as soon as the old ones break down, we replace them with the new systems.
Okay,
If they're still working, they're still working.
Didn't you say that the ones are?
So we replaced 1, 2, 3, 4 along San Antonio, so
All I'm saying is if there is,
more than
I'm saying if there's money in the budget, I would consider replacing them sooner because of inconsistencies, some cars are noticing some and they're not noticing.
The direction
I've
was,
had-
the
I've had-
direction it was, if it's working, it's working. If it's not working, then we replace it, and we get a new system.
Didn't you say about a year ago that
they were very not reliable and thought about maybe not even replacing them?
No, those are the
That was-
in-ground, those are the in-ground ones. That was, they were gonna maintain those 2 years ago, so.
Some of them still work and some of them still work.
Yeah,
Okay.
but those are just, we're not maintaining those ones.
So you're not getting.
But as soon as something breaks, we do, and
Could
they
be
can't,
years.
they can't, you know, they're getting, they're getting up there, so. We're replacing one, we have an order for one at, Edith, near the university.
Yeah.
That's one, it's taking like 6 to 9 months to get the equipment. That's,
Wow.
it's,
So I was gonna say,
it's taking a long time, there's another one in Almond and Formway, right across from Almond Schools in Boulder. And it's still, I think they're supposed to install that next week, so they found out about 9 months ago when we ordered them to get them done. So equipment, materials are taking a long time to get, so that's the problem. If we can get them out, we can get them like a week, if something breaks, we'll get them fixed, but it's just taking too long.
Is it chair?
I saw Tony had a question, but I wanted to just make sure, Suresh, you mentioned the beacons, but was there anything else on San Antonio generally that you wanted to raise?
No, I just, real quickly, since we're talking about science in the project, that could be, another couple of years before we get there.
Yeah,
But as soon as if something's not working, we do get replaced. There's new RSSS systems out there. You'll see them all over the place. We replaced 6
I
of
think it
them.
would be great to have the whole street consistent, and, because I've noticed where some crosswalks, the cars just drive by because they're not noticing the older signals. The newer big ones that flash.
Yeah.
Those two
Now,
ones
those
are
are
much
definitely-
more visible.
But the direction was, something's working. Why do we need to replace it when something's working?
Well,
So, there could be other places where it's not working, we can get those replaced.
if it's
You see
not,
what I mean, you know what I mean? So, you gotta put what, you gotta see where your budget is, and we can spend our whole budget fixing all these things, and then now something breaks, we don't have any more budget left, it doesn't make sense, so. If that's not working, we'll get it fixed. That's the direction.
so if it's not, you're not gonna replace those ones on the blinking on the sidewalk, I mean, in the middle of the street.
That was like 2 years ago, they continued this on that.
That means you're probably gonna have to change signs that say, the street light, the crosswalk is flashing.
No, I don't think there are any-
Those are not even included.
I don't think there are any crosswalks that rely only on the one thing.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
There are no crosswalks.
those are enhancements to those crosswalks,
Well, that's enhancement.
those are just enhancements, those are extra little. things that- why did we say that? But it's hard to maintain, so
I saw,
that's-
in-grounds?
Yeah,
We're
in-
out of business, so there's no.
There's, you can't even replace it, so that's the
I'm
problem.
sure.
I saw Tony had a question. Or wanted to contribute, yeah.
Distraction.
Fair enough.
So we good with this thing, or we're gonna continue discussing it?
I think we've got 2026, unless I hear from other people that.
And again, if you have to send it to me, and I can forward it.
But what we do
I
need to
can
do-
Forward to the,
I wasn't there.
Oh, what else you got, John?
Well, I had that continue on that one, but that's okay. When you have your number 3 goal, in the very right, well, it says complete in the middle, you have done on the very comments. Should it actually say not done, shouldn't say done, should be completed, for the other parts?
I think it's just a miss on my part, and I'm digging this on, post meeting, so it should just say done, it's out of function.
Yeah.
It is done, it's been implemented,
You're
it's
in.
Okay,
Yeah.
city ordinance,
so it's a slight red line.
yeah, it's a typo, yeah. So it's remove the question mark.
Okay.
It's just outdated. Yeah,
I will update that myself.
Okay.
It's my
So the next one's
Yeah.
All right, good
Good
enough, thank you.
Anything else?
Good for now.
Okay, awesome, thanks. Yeah, work in progress for sure. Okay, cool. But I think we do need to, I don't think we formally formed the ad hoc subcommittee, or did we?
I think you did.
Oh, we
right?
did, we did.
You did have 3 volunteers.
Yes, we got it. I just didn't
I
know.
think that was the.
Sometimes
subject.
there's like formalities, yeah, okay, good with me, good by me, okay. 2025 work plan, continue discussing the work plan. Where are we at on this? I mean, I don't want to use our time to go through all of these, just keeping it real.
And again, we got 1 month left.
Yeah, exactly.
So, again, these could continue to 2026, right? So it's not one of those.
Yeah,
it's kind of
I
like,
mean,
okay, it's done.
it's true, it's true, but
This is calendar year.
Yeah,
this is calendar year, but we have, additional time before we report to city council about
Yeah,
the status and
exactly.
completion of the work.
But you're gonna have to tell me, what you've completed and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
so.
I guess, maybe I'll ask if there's anything specifically that anyone on the commission would like to discuss about the status of anything open. Or anything of interest on 2025 work plan, for now. Yes, Raj,
Just one question.
Yeah.
Have we done with all the street resurfacing at this point?
No,
great question.
we're gonna do a city update, but.
Not all the
so
streets
there
are-
was- I don't know,
On the previous plan. On the previous.
No, what's on construction
On the
now?
2025, for the one.
What is going on right now is they're still working in progress. Depending on weather, I may or may not have to suspend the contract for a while until the weather gets warmer, basically. They're still pushing really hard to get stuff done. Springer is the one that's gonna be a real challenge in that the volume and the business in that area, so we're trying to find a time when, the school's out for about a day or two, so for us to get in there and do the repairs that we need.
And we've done all the microservicing, the slur shield, that's all done. In CapTrack, which you'll see all those, basically lines, that's when they do, the striping work there, so. Now they're working on the mill overlay. We passed those this week. This time, and I think so. They're progressing.
Thanks.
That was gonna be a city update, but.
Anybody have anything else they wanna highlight or talk through?
Two questions, for number 13, leverage
Yeah,
traffic calming plan AD, we have it listed as plan. Can someone, and then they'll note say AD, legal and Stephen to discuss information sharing. Where are we at with this particular project? Is it like ongoing? Is it in consideration for traffic calming measures, or do we need to request something specific to do something? I'm not.
Before a traffic measure could be implemented or contemplated,
Citywide survey.
citywide survey has to be done, because enforcement has to be in place. Otherwise, no amount of traffic calming measures.
yeah, okay.
Great, thank you for that clarification. Second clarification, project 14, long-term 2026 complete streets work plan. We had created an ad hoc committee with this, and I recall Suresh and Wes, you were working.
No,
I don't-
Stephen. Stephen Katz, Commissioner Katz and Tom.
Thank you.
I think that's Tom, right?
I know,
Yeah,
we were,
Tom.
we were working for me and Stephen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, Tom, where did you and Stephen come to a conclusion on that? Because Steve, sorry,
No,
back in those. Where did you two conclude? Because I know you've done work, you provided like one, informal report update, but at this point, did you create a list or some type of like output for us?
We're still kind of on hold because of, the survey thing too, but, we kind of, a one or two ago, we talked about it up there under, number 4. New downtown improvements, we kind of listened, the traffic calming up there, and then we listed down in 13 also. Should they be kind of, it's almost like that they're, disjointed.
Yeah, because I think we discussed this as two separate items. One is the city, the downtown was to address that specifically in this year, but this one is kind of more long-term.
Yeah.
Citywide plan. So, and then after discussion, we all realized that the downtown, anything we want to do significant in downtown have to wait till we have a general circulation plan, so that's on hold, whereas it should continue. And that's why you're asking.
Yeah, so Tom,
So we were kind of on hold for that, because we did some work, and then, I don't have to repeat, but,
my request, given that we begin to plan for 2026, if you wouldn't mind in the next meeting, providing a preliminary report for us, so like, here's where we are regardless, so we can.
I feel it's such a, with Stephen,
Yeah.
I know we met with.
Here's where you are, like, you don't have to make it, maybe send it to Art in advance, so we know, great, here's what you're gonna talk about, and then we can have it documented.
We could add to the commission report or something, agenda it, if we don't need to.
Correct. And then lastly, number 11, so review and update long-term CIP capital improvement project list. Is that?
That's
me,
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
and me and Tony, and that one's helped for me, I just not had a chance to really dive into this since the last time we Yeah, the request is similar. I know it's, you have a lot going on as well, and a lot of personalized, but if we can just have a preliminary report on this, the reason that this will be helpful for next year's plan, if we need to target particular areas of the total thing from the past that we're, yeah, either completed or we dropped or something. As the expression goes, we don't make the perfect thing into good, like just good enough, and then we can actually proceed forward with our work for next year.
But just a clarification, for that, I think we need to make sure that we take into account the latest list from Stephen on the CLP projects, because there've been some updates, right?
Yeah.
We have a new list for this coming year,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess just to, that's when you look at it.
Yeah.
Just compare that to the,
Absolutely.
not the old one.
Art, did you share that with us, or either of you
I
guys?
think I should,
Okay.
well, I can share it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought there was a new one.
No, it's just
Yeah.
based on the same list.
Oh, okay,
There was a couple of things that got juggled around.
okay, yeah, but if the most recent one that you shared is still like current, then that's good, awesome,
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, appreciate it. And yeah, we'll make sure that we map the current streets and find the gaps that are there. Yeah, it was, well, not just the streets, right, it was, there's other projects that I think Stacy often brought up, that like tribal knowledge that we had lost over time, and Stacy, if I were commissioner. Oh, yeah.
And it was like, oh, here's all these things from the past that we talked about, and Jim Wing comes off and talks about stuff
Yeah.
that we dropped, and so it's collating that to a point where like, great, we have it, it's in the record. I mean, we actually know where, like, it's in our meeting notes, it's searchable, and then we can leverage it for the future, so that's, just, since we're wrapping up our year, we would have this complete, Awesome, those are my points. Thanks, Scott. Sorry to task you all with.
No.
Wrapping things up, but
That's
it's
good.
good.
Yep, that's how it goes. Cool, awesome. Good, and I think that's that for,
With that one?
yeah, exactly. So then do our last, item of business, which is live chair and vice chair for, like we say, or for the next year.
Yeah, so we gotta elect somebody, the rule is, can't be a chair for 2 years in a row. So, but you can be that's the only rule, I think, you can't be a chair 2 years in a row, so
Is that,
Wes can't be
is
the
that
chair.
you can't be the chair, but the vice chair could be,
Now you're
could
talking.
they swap?
Yes, that's possible, but he just can't be the chair.
You have to be chair just for 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right.
But then you could skip a year, and then you can get back in.
And then you can-
Right?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
2 years in a row, yeah.
Yeah.
It can't be 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
I think.
totally.
Can we nominate somebody that's not here?
So, yeah, we have any nominations?
Before we do that,
Yeah,
I just wanna thank Wes
Oh,
for your service.
Yes.
Thanks.
It was a hard year, but I think we accomplished a bunch.
Yeah.
Thank you for guiding us through these meetings. That helped, but it was great.
Yeah,
Good
well,
job.
thanks, Suresh. I appreciate, your presence, obviously everybody, but, it's good to have folks that know, their way around a meeting, and I've definitely taken a lot of guidance from you. And so, yeah, appreciate that, and appreciate, everybody.
Thanks, and Scott, thanks
Yeah.
for supporting Wes.
Yeah.
And
Good job.
stepping in that one meeting was
I think you did a couple, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you, Scott, absolutely, huge. Yeah, so let's do it. So, let's see, so how do we wanna actually go through this?
Do we have any nominations, right? Do we
Yeah.
Nominate
Do
anybody?
you have any nominations?
Yeah, any nominations for chair?
Or self-nomination.
Yeah, nominations.
So I'll nominate
Yeah, yeah.
Scott.
Come again?
I'll nominate Scott.
Okay.
Can you also-
For.
Can you also, well, he's already vice chair.
Yeah.
Can you nominate somebody that's not here?
That'll be tough because we,
Yeah,
it's an accept,
Yeah.
right? So then we would have to do it again, but I don't think that's.
Yeah. I don't think.
I think Steve.
My
I
don't think Steve's gonna
don't
do it.
recommend. I don't
You
recommend.
didn't wanna do it last year.
Exactly, I don't recommend.
He's gonna want it more this year, yeah,
So some,
yeah.
does anybody want a second nominating Scott as the new chair?
I second.
Okay. Are we gonna vote on it?
No.
We don't need to, right?
No.
Do you accept it?
Yeah, he has to accept.
Do you accept it? Yes?
We might have to take him up for a beer.
Exactly.
Will you accept the nomination to be the chair for the 2026 starting
I
September,
don't-
to 22, September.
My contemplation for not accepting with gusto is because of the current new job work-life balances, but knowing, you know, people's interests and like, I guess, feeling if it might be right, I, even despite Wes and Sebastian telling you that, I would say no. I do accept.
Nice.
Amazing.
I was gonna say, congrats.
As newly married, we actually need to get permission.
Let's take yes for an answer. Yeah.
That's what's our last meeting.
You're not wrong, John, so you're gonna say no.
All right, so Scott has accepted the chair position, and now
Well, you have to before then, anybody else?
Anybody, any other nominations for anybody else for
Anybody
chair?
else wants to start?
Does anybody else?
I'd like to nominate Suresh.
Okay, anybody, second that?
I second.
Okay. So now we got two for two, anybody else?
Accepted nomination, yeah.
Now, we do the vote.
I, thank you.
Oh, you accept it?
I respectfully decline.
Okay, so the rest declines. So now, any other nominations? Anybody else?
We also nominate vice chair at this time.
No.
No, let's just be sure first one at a time.
Yeah.
I guess, no other nominations? No, I don't have anything. Okay, let's go for a vote for Scott as the new chair for starting today to September 2026.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Now we'll do the vice chair, any nominations for vice chair?
Sure. Please nominate.
So,
I nominate Wesley.
okay. Is there somebody a second that?
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations for chair,
Oh, I don't-
vice chair?
let me see if you want-
Oh, you want to accept that? Do you want to-
The one thing I wanna say is, you know, I would like to give it, you know, opportunity for anybody else who would wanna serve, you know, for sure. So, I've had my opportunity, you know, and, you know, are there other folks who are interested in doing it? I mean,
Anybody else?
I would like to nominate either Tom or Tony, one of you would like to. Either of you can.
I, in better words with Suresh, I'm trying to respectfully.
Okay, well, respectfully decline. Anybody else?
Respectfully decline.
Anybody else? Any other nominations? Wes, are you gonna accept the vice chair?
let's do it.
Okay, let's vote on it. Vice chair, Wes, all right, we're good. So they just basically swap.
Okay, right.
I guess we're done with that one, right? We're good?
And Jeff.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay,
City updates, we just touched on Daniel Street, resurfacing, so it's going wrong. Commissioner training is tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you make,
Is it mandatory?
it's the only training you got. I'm not, yeah.
We did it last
I
year.
think you're supposed
We
to,
did it last year.
you're supposed to do it once.
And
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
this is the only training that they're gonna give until
Yeah.
following year, next year, so again, it's tomorrow, 5 to 6.
Is it a mandatory?
I think it's an important question to answer.
Yeah, so I can't say it's mandatory, but I can't say it's an option. Because I'm not the city clerk,
Schrodinger's training.
you know what I mean? So if you have any questions on it, you can email Melissa,
Okay.
the city clerk, and ask her if you can make it, please, Joe, because it's the only training that's been offered.
It's really hard from.
Yeah,
Assuming that
I got
was changed last
I
year.
got you. But yeah, just email Melissa and ask her if it's mandatory or there's other ways of getting that training. But I would email her some, so she's getting off. So. All right, so that's tomorrow, 5 to 6 at the Grand Oak Ballroom. And then you guys, PD has started doing some informational stuff. I don't know if you guys are on Instagram or Facebook.
Staff report?
No, this is just a city update. Yeah. It's just, one more thing is, PD did this thing with, Instagram. I don't know if you saw it, Instagram, Facebook. They did a video on e-bikes and, e-scooters. It was kind of funny, actually. It was actually back and forth. I think I don't know if he was, yeah, he was saying something. So go check it out. They talked about the safety, they talked about the ordinance. It's actually a great video. When they did start doing, we want to do education. That's what they started. So,
They did a good job.
yeah, so
It's good.
you see,
It's funny,
yeah, it's actually funny.
educational.
Exactly. So it's very good. So, yeah, it's
It's,
Instagram or
it's
Facebook.
police.
Yeah,
Yeah.
City of Los Angeles.
I like that, because-
So they do different things, different videos and stuff like that, but the last one was Pete doing about the ordinance and e-bikes, it was very good, so make sure you see that, yeah, and that's going to some efforts there.
Okay, thanks, Art.
Yep.
Commissioners' reports, does anybody have anything they wanna report on? Tony, what you got?
And the resurfacing project on Grant was very nice. Thank you very, very much. I don't understand why the street remarking is done before the resurfacing. That made no sense.
I'm sorry. Just trying to address an email.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, your question again?
Talking about Grant.
As far as I can tell, the bike lanes were
Uh-huh.
moved on Grant,
Uh-huh.
and then we resurfaced. This seems completely backwards. Yeah, Grant between, from St. Simon to Trader Joe's.
We researched it because we were striping it.
Yeah, we're striping it because,
We restriped it and then we resurfaced. Which made no sense.
But now there's gonna be, because the bike lanes weren't, I think we restriped it because of, yeah,
wait a minute.
yeah, I don't know.
I'm not understanding because we never restrict grants.
Yep. Somebody came along and restriped Grant.
You're talking about Grant frontage along,
Yep.
Hood
Oh,
Hill.
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. We didn't do it. It was Cal Water as part of their. project.
There was a water main. They
They had to do a water repair.
So
Yeah,
they're
when
required
they
to
do
do
that,
They have to put back what was there.
whatever's there.
But is there, I mean, Tony has a good point, which is like, do we ever talk to people, you
Yes.
know, and say, hey, guess what, you know?
They were supposed to have done that back in
Yeah.
February.
Yeah,
Because they knew
Okay.
this project was coming
okay,
and they just fell behind. They,
Okay.
they weren't able to get through it.
But that's not
Our
water.
project was on hold until they're done with
That's not
the
the same.
project.
yeah,
But because they're required as part of the original permit.
Yeah.
To put back what was already there, had they have done it back in February,
Didn't have to.
they still wanted to put it back.
They would have
is
to
that,
take
is that a city of Los Altos permit? So presumably, is there a mechanism by which we could adjust that? I don't know,
We
like,
could have adjusted.
we're talking about, you know,
But again, we got it done, so that's all.
Okay, well,
Yep.
the end result is very nice. Thank you very much.
yeah, exactly.
They're cat tracking right now to put the new,
Exactly.
proposed
New-
bike lanes,
new line.
all the striping.
Awesome. Great job. Any other reports? What do you got, Scott?
I just wanna let you know, I attended the October sixth BTA ribbon cutting ceremony
Oh,
at
nice.
El Camino and, what was it, the Stanford Plaza, Oregon. Anyhow, it was a nice session, some people from the state, Congressman, I forget the two individuals' names, off the top of my head. Mark Berman and another individual.
It was, he was,
State.
I think Josh Beckle was there.
Think so, right?
Yeah.
Mayor Pete Daly was there, he spoke as well, and then, individuals from, Caltrans, ultimately, you know, talking about the progress coming together, the number of, 49 center lane miles were repaved, so there's 7 miles distance, but between the number of lanes paved, it was 49 miles in length. Talked about the DPAC was there from Mountain View and its dealer biking coalitions. But it was a good day, bunch of pictures and then, we didn't talk about the completion of the project, which is not until November when we turn the lights, but ultimately felt, a joyous moment of like bringing together resources, raising funds and money coming from cities as well to get this project done. A lot from Mountain View, it seemed like. So ultimately, it was nice to be there and it's nice to see kind of the different parties working together and celebrating the win.
That's super cool. Jerry had reached out to me and just had a conflict and couldn't make it, and I was disappointed not to be able to make it. It was a cool event, and obviously that's a ton of work that went into huge amount of El Camino, and it's really cool. I'm glad that you at least got to represent us and probably get a sense of like what that stretch is like now. I mean, I'm curious, like, if you even just have like a high level sense of like, you know, what that feels like to actually like bike along.
I think use it every weekend.
Yeah.
Biking from here to Palo Alto.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
That's so cool.
It's fantastic.
It would be fantastic once they time those lights.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I don't wanna run more red lights.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
so painful. And I actually think it's actually dangerous. The behavior of drivers have changed that are local drivers, that more people run red lights now on El Camino than I've ever seen in my since driving since 15, because they are frustrated with the light sequencing and they're tired of waiting. And I see it all day long. I tell my wife, look both ways, pause before you go, because people are blowing through red lights, not just because they're distracted drivers. I see it on El Camino.
They're just.
It's because of the light time. People are really frustrated.
But
Yeah.
can't bicycles run the red lights if it's clear?
I mean, that's their choice. They wanna break the
No,
law.
I believe that's in the same law, right?
No.
Oh, no, it's stop signs. isn't it? Stop, yeah.
Rolling
You
stop.
really can do it, rolling stops.
So, yeah,
Well, they can do
you're
it.
talking about an Idaho stop, and that did not pass. That was proposed as a law, but it got defeated.
Oh,
Yep.
I thought it passed.
No,
Yeah, it's good to report, but, it's gonna be there, Stacy was also there.
I've seen people
That's
do
great.
it now.
Thanks, Scott. Quick one I have, I use the Hetch Hetchy Trail, that leads to the Los Alamos Palo Alto Bike Path over time, and I think that work is done.
Yep.
And so kudos, for getting that done, and it looks great, and it was, you know, a huge dip, you know, at those two spots, and huge like incline, so, yeah, improvement, so thanks to the city for doing that work.
Wasn't that the Hitch issue too?
What's that?
Hitch was involved with that? With Palo Alto, and their water thing?
Yeah.
Right. But that's been on our work plan for
So
several
it's
years.
got, so they need rents right now, so.
And it's there.
And
Yeah.
just few signs and all that stuff, so.
It's been there for.
In fact, yeah, well, I was.
We're not done, we're not
Yeah.
done, man. It's
Yeah.
done, it's done, it's done. We're not talking about it, it's done.
Exactly, knock it off the list. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you. It looks great. And I saw the work being done. I said, thanks to the guys doing the work. So I appreciate everything that the city does. That's all I have. Anything else for future agenda?
The thing is, I think Stacy was gonna send updates.
Yeah.
Was there any
Yeah,
updates?
did you contacted Stacy, right? To ask her how she's gonna, I'm assuming she knows that she's still the VTA, BPAC representative, and how she's gonna give us information.
Yeah.
She said she was gonna send up.
I didn't send.
If she didn't meet, there's nothing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So there was no updates. I didn't
Yeah,
see one.
I dropped the ball. I did not, we spoke in person at October 6th.
Okay.
meeting. I will send a follow-up copying you and Steven and Wes,
Okay.
saying like we discussed this a few times, I'm formalizing it.
Okay.
You know, even a non-executive update, like I attended the meeting, no update, or I attended the meeting, here's something. So
Yeah,
we don't-
that's all you, yeah, so you,
So just ask for some form of
something.
plan for the future as well,
Yeah,
as
that's
we
fine.
go into June for
When's her term?
June
So
2026.
maybe that should put on a work plan for someone.
Yes,
to-
special, yeah, so we're gonna have somebody, you know, one.
I would maybe, yeah, ask that other folks on the commission consider whether that service would be, you know, valuable or interesting or useful. BTA, BPAC is, yeah, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and works on a bunch of important stuff that, you know, extends obviously outside of Los Altos for the county, and for the other areas that BTA is in, and, but it touches a lot of things inside Los Altos, and so it's super important, and yeah, so I'm sure Stacy would be willing to talk to folks about, you know, what the experience is like too. So yeah, just putting that out there that it will become necessary for, most likely, almost certainly, somebody on our commission to
Yeah.
step in. So, let's keep that in mind. Awesome. Yeah, appreciate Suresh, raising that as well. Cool. I think that's everything. Does anybody have anything else?
What about potential,
Yeah.
future?
Is there anything anybody wants to raise for upcoming agenda?
And it is gonna be a special meeting, right, because you guys approved for the 19th, it's gonna be 19th,
Yeah.
it's a special meeting, and then we're gonna, the
Yeah.
regular meeting is canceled on the.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't hit Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
I have one item. Usually the commission gets an update on just the budget for next year. It's the CIP budget, what they're spending, what it is and so on. So if we could get an update, the last update, I don't think we did since the beginning of the year. So if we can get an update from the commission just on what you're spending, what the budget might be, look like for the next cycle.
I can tell you right now what the new budget's gonna be for the next cycle, because that usually doesn't come from state or the state or the VTA until about May. That's when they give us a rough estimate.
No, our budget, our city.
Our CFP budget give you what we expect it to be.
Yeah. I think it would be good for the commissioners to know what we're spending on, what it is, and what the impact on the decisions. we make.
Well, it's on the website. If you go to city website, it's on the finance department. There is, that's the budget basically.
That's for the current year.
No, they also have a projection of what could be for.
Yeah, there's a projection for each year.
Yeah,
for the
how much
next-
we're
for the
budgeting.
next
That
cycle.
is, yeah.
Yeah,
But then the
That's-
updates too.
they don't think that out, so.
In fact, we're not even gonna start talking budget until probably about February, March.
Yeah, exactly. So it's still a while.
I propose a 2025 work plan completion or finalization, kind of, putting a stamp in time on where we have the progress and activity, so we can create a report for the 2025 year. I can take a stab at coming with kind of like, besides just this, but like a kind of a stated thing of like what we accomplished and how that would be done.
Yes.
How it happens. Yeah, then we can,
To wrap it up, yeah.
if we review it, approve it, if there's any modifications, so we ultimately as a commission agree that here was our 2025 efforts and, yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you, Scott. Okay, guys, I think that's everything. All right, let's adjourn.
9:23.
Okay, we did it. Great.
Yeah. Probably.